Yeah, I think we'll be fine on the community development.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started, if you don't mind. Good evening, and welcome to the Yarmouth Select Board meeting of August 12th, 2025. If you'd please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be great. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Tracy, this isn't here either.
I don't know, but it's after 6, so we are moving. We have a quorum. Okay, so the first item on our agenda, the first thing I'd like to bring up as just a point of reference is tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of the passing of Mike Stone. And I think we should just take a moment to remember Mike. A year has passed. It's unbelievable how fast time goes by, but it still leaves a big gap here for our community and our town, and I know for his family, so I'd just like to take a second to remember him. Thank you. I very much miss his guidance. The first item on our agenda is announcements, and on our announcements, we have the recognition of Miss Mary Maslowski, which is our town clerk. She is here tonight. Hi, Mary.
Hello, thank you.
I'm going to read our certificate into the record because it's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication and achieving that on the behalf of the people of Yarmouth. So it's an official certificate of achievement. Let it be known that the town of Yarmouth hereby recognizes Mary A. Maslowski for earning the designation of Master Municipal Clerk. And be it further known that the town of Yarmouth extends its sincere congratulations in achieving this designation from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, Inc., in recognition of superior professional development. International Institute of Municipal Clerks grants the Master Municipal Clerk designation only to municipal clerks who complete demanding education requirements and have a record of significant contributions to their local government, community, and state. This certificate was approved by the Yarmouth Select Board on the 12th day of August, 2025, signed by me on behalf of the board.
I thank you very much.
Nice work.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yoo-hoo. Did you want to say a quick?
If I could, I just want to say thank you because without support from administration and the ability to go to the conferences and take the classes, and my staff for making sure that everything is running smoothly when I'm not there, I couldn't have done it as quickly as I did. So I really appreciate all that support from administration and the office staff as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your ambition to be able to achieve that. I know it's very high recognition in terms of in the field of town clerks, and it's, you know, we watch what you do day in, day out with what is put upon you with the new election process and everything, and it's extremely important that your expertise is there. And like I said, the entire town benefits from that, so we're extremely grateful.
So I'm happy and lucky to say that in the 5 years I've been here, I've never felt anything but support from both the select board, from administration, from the finance department, and everybody all the way down. So it makes it easy to be thankful when you get the support from everybody from Department of Public Works all the way up. So I really appreciate it.
Great. Does any board members have anything that they want to add to Mary?
Well, I was going to throw this into public comment, but it looks like Mary's out the door, so I will say it now.
Not going anywhere.
Mary is a great vote of thanks for coming in early this morning just to address committee chairs on the whole question of the update of the open meeting law. And some very detailed questions got answered, and it made us all think we're lucky to have an attorney for a town clerk. Thank you, Mary. It was great.
Thank you. I'm glad we had the attendance that we did. And like I said, we are putting together both open meeting law training and conflict of interest training for board and commission members. Sometime this fall, we've spoken to town council, and they're going to try and put something together for us to give people a little bit of an opportunity to ask those questions without having to call the state every time they need a question answered. So we're happy to do it. Anytime you see a need, just let us know, and we're happy to put something together.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I too want to also echo the sentiments that have been expressed. A lot of folks here in town don't realize all the time and energy and all the hard work that goes on in our town clerk's office, and also in particular with Mary. The elections, they run smooth every year, but they're not without challenge. They have their moments, but the work that goes into doing the elections, working with our committees, working with all our other town departments, you've just done an incredible job. We're very lucky to have you, quite frankly.
I thank you very much. I feel happy and blessed to be here.
And don't think for a minute, we don't take anything that you do for granted.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Of course, I'm now going to have to put my 2 cents in and say Mary Maslowski has been my guide from last December on, and I'm so glad that she was there to keep me going forward. Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, does anybody on the board have any announcements? Any announcements from the
No.
boards? Okay, well, we're going to move into public comment. I see a hand up online. Zoom user, can you please identify yourself, please?
Is that me?
Oh, Joe Glenn.
It didn't put my name up there?
No, it says Zoom user.
Oh, I don't know if that's an upgrade or a downgrade. But before
Alphabetically,
Mary,
it's not so good.
is Mary still there?
She is, Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to commend her also. As someone who has been critical, and as Mark said, there's always challenges, and it's a testament when there is problems, how people deal with it, and how Mary has dealt with it, and specifically me. You know, I can be critical, but that's how you solve problems. That's how you work through things, and I just want her to know that I've appreciated all the times that she's dealt with me, and it is a great honor that she's moving up with all those professional accomplishments. So thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
And also, just on a separate topic, because it does have to do with boards and open meeting law issues, that we, as the Yarmouth Housing Authority, we have to post things. So we have to address those issues too. And speaking of the Housing Authority, I just want to personally, not speaking for the Housing Authority, but just for myself, that just so the board knows and the town administrator knows, I am still interested in airing out everything and clearing the air, and coming forward to the select board as soon as possible. So if we can get some dates, alternative dates out there, I know I would greatly appreciate it, and I think the other members of the Housing Authority would too. But thanks very much. Have a great evening.
Joe, before you go, just for the public's reference, probably be mentioned later, but we had made an invitation, a formal invitation to the Yarmouth Housing Authority to have a joint meeting regarding the future of the property that is located by the senior center that they are trying to develop. And the meeting was declined. And was that meeting, was that discussion, the letter in a meeting of yours, Joe? Was that something you voted on to decline the offer?
No, we didn't. That was the chair and the, as you know, the chair sometimes in some of the boards and the administrators come up with the agendas and the decision. There was supposed to be a housing authority meeting tonight also, but I guess there was a mix-up again with the posting of that. But so that's why I wanted to come in. But I think in the future, if we can just have several options so there's no conflict with dates, then I'm sure we can get in there and have that discussion.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Great. Take care.
Joe. You as well. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to address the board? Oops. Hi.
How are you?
Good evening. Can you please identify yourself for the record?
Yes, Alden Childs from West Yarmouth. First, thank you guys for all the work that you do. It's appreciated. Just wanted to talk briefly about the proposed boat storage bylaw amendment that the planning board is going to bring up later on tonight. Just hoping that the select board will recommend moving forward with this amendment. I think it's going to create a lot of fairness and be a huge help to people who have smaller properties and also don't have the space on the side or rear of the house for storage. I also believe it will greatly lessen the burden that the building department carries in trying to enforce this bylaw. As long as there's adequate on-site parking and no traffic hazards that are created, I think it's important to allow homeowners to be able to use the front of their property if they have no other option on the side or rear. So I'm just hoping that you'll support it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Childs. Appreciate your comments. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to address the board in public comment tonight? Hi, Kurt.
I'm glad Joyce is back. I've been watching your conversations on appointments, and it sounds like you're worried about asking everybody else's permission to make appointments. They're your appointments. I don't think you need to have staff. You don't have to have the chair. You don't have to have a committee. If you feel like you can interview somebody on your own, I think you should just do it. I know years past, the boards have been known to reach out to people if they thought they were a good fit for a committee, instead of just waiting for them to come to you. That's another thing. I know there's some comments about waiting on CEDC appointments until you get a new economic person. Again, I don't think that's necessary. I think that committee, if you have good candidates, name them and get them back to work. The economic development person should not be an assistant planner. The last economic development person was in that office and was stifled quite a bit. I think they need some independence to do what they need to do, because our economic development in this town is almost non-existent. And I think it could be done much better. So I think you need to seriously think about that and how you want to structure that position when it's filled. Because the last person actually left because they got so frustrated with what they were trying to accomplish, and everybody kept standing in their way. So, again, think about that. Because I used to say we have a community and economic development department. We have no community and no economic development. It was that way for a long time. So it's time to move forward and make sure the economic has its own place in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. It's a good time to look at that, for sure. Anybody else from the public would like to make any comments? Okay. Seeing none, we are going to go to our 6:15 agenda item, and while I read the notice into the hearing, if the applicants can please come forward for the one-day alcohol license for the Second Summer Cycle, Inc., please. The Yarmouth Board of Selectmen, acting as the local licensing authority, has received an application from W. Patrick Lentel of the Second Summer Cycle, Inc., P.O. Box 2017, Katuitt, Mass. 02635, for a special one-day wine and malt alcohol license for the Second Summer Cycle event. an after-party for cycling charity event at the Bass River Beach, also known as Smuggler's Beach parking lot, 220 South Street in South Yarmouth, Mass. 02664, on Sunday, September 14th, 2025, from noon to 5 p.m. Hearing will be held on Tuesday, August 12th, 2025, at Town Hall, 1146 Route 28, South Yarmouth. The Select Board meeting begins at 6 p.m. Written comments will be accepted until 4:30 p.m. on Friday, August 8th, 2025, in the Select Board's office at Town Hall, and can be submitted electronically to public comment at yarmouth.ma.us. Verbal comments will be accepted at the hearing. So with that, we will open the public hearing and ask you to introduce yourself and speak a little bit about what it is that you're trying to achieve, please.
I am Patrick Lintel, and I am the ride director for Second Summer Cycle. And it is a ride, it's in our third year of the ride. It's only the second actual year we'll be riding. The first year we had a hurricane coming to the Cape, Hurricane Lee, on September 17th, 2023. And at that time we were ending our ride in Provincetown. And Provincetown and Wellfleet pulled our permits because of the concern about the hurricane and the damage that could have been done on the roads. So we canceled it the Wednesday before the ride. But one of the things that we do for the ride is we insure it against natural catastrophes, and we did that. So for that ride, all the monies that were raised by the riders for the beneficiaries, and we had 18 beneficiaries that year. The 18 beneficiaries got $231,000 for the ride. Last year we did the ride ending in P-Town, and we raised $250,000. This year, one of the problems we had is that we had to go up onto Route 6 for 6 miles, and to go onto Route 6 with 300 cyclists is what we had last year was very dangerous. So we decided not to end in P-Town, and we were looking at different spots to start it at, and a couple of people suggested we go to Smuggler's Beach, and I was talking to a woman named Allison Caron who lives in Yarmouth, and she's a graphic designer, marketing person who does a lot of work with Mary, and she suggested that I talk to Mary and to start and end our event at Smuggler's Beach. And we met with Mary, and Mary gave us a great pitch to do that. And so we have put everything together to start at Smuggler's Beach and end at Smuggler's Beach. We have 4 distances. We have 101 miles, almost 102. We have 61 and a half miles, almost 62. And we have 34 miles, and we have 15 miles. They all start and end at Smuggler's Beach. They're all loop routes, and some of them go out as far as Eastham to the east, and as far west as Sandwich and Cotuit. The 100 miles do. And right now we have 405 people registered. If we continue with the track that we're on, we're probably going to have 500 to 550 cyclists, and which is really good because many cycling events this year, in fact, the majority of them are down as far as registrants go. And one of the comments we've gotten is the riders love starting in Yarmouth and doing a loop routes, and that it is really great. 22% of our riders come from off Cape, we have one group of riders, 10 women, that are coming up from Long Island as a team.
Are they riding, or I hope they're driving?
They're driving up.
Well, Patrick, it's a wonderful event. You met a great resource here in town, and we're very happy to have you as part of our community as an event. So we had that approval already. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the alcohol license and how it is that you plan on serving it and making sure that it stays in a contained area. I know just for the public's and the board, we have your certification that abutters have been notified. I know that Pam has your certificate of insurance, so your paperwork is in order. You have your TIPS training here. But just logistically in making sure that the alcohol doesn't get into the hands of minors, that's kind of what we'd like to see if we could get some information on today.
So we will have servers from Barnstable Brewing. They are going to be the providers of the beer for us. And they will also be serving the wine. And they have a license for beer and wine to serve it.
Perfect. So they'll be bringing what their items on premises. It will be managed, contained, and removed after the.
Yes.
Okay.
And the owners of Barnstable Brewing are the ones that will be here serving the beer.
Excellent. Okay. Does the board want to ask questions first, or do you want me to go to the public?
I'm just terrified he'll ask us to ride 60 miles. Terrified.
Well, we'll go to the public and see if anybody has any comment. Does anybody from the public have any comment either for or against the application? Seeing none, I will take a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Liz, you have questions?
Yes, I just was, and it's not related to the alcohol license, so forgive me, but I was looking at your materials a little more closely. Are the sponsors also the beneficiaries?
No,
Or do they cross over?
no.
Okay, that was my question. It looked like some of the beneficiaries were also sponsors, and that seemed interesting. Thank you, that was answered.
There's only one beneficiary that is tied directly to a sponsorship, and that is me. I'm the president of the board of the Youth Athletic Foundation, and I have a company called Golden Summer Enterprises, and Golden Summer Enterprises is a sponsor of the event. That's the only crossover.
That sounds reasonably distant. Thank you.
Yep.
Joyce, do you have any questions?
I actually don't. It sounds like a fun event, and I hope everybody has a great time.
Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I'm happy to make a motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Great. Welcome to Yarmouth.
Yay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hope you have a successful event. Okay, our next item on the agenda is the award of Contract 5.
Need a drum roll for that.
See
You say
Lori
so.
and Jeff
Long-awaited.
coming forward.
Yes, good evening. Jeff Colby, Public Works Director. I'm joined by Lori Rizal, our Water and Wastewater Superintendent, and Ryan Chase, our Assistant Wastewater Superintendent. We have two parts tonight. First is the award of Contract 5, which is exciting. We talked about that at the update. And the second part is we wanted to formally introduce you to Ryan Chase. You've probably heard a lot about him, and even in the updates, we gave you his name with regards to the ombudsman role we've asked him to take on and how you can contact him through email and telephone. But this is a good opportunity to put a face with a name. So that's why we're all here tonight.
And for the board's information, there's a memo in the packet that has the motion that needs to be read for the record.
I don't have it, sorry. You want to pass it down? I'll read it.
Are you going to make a present? Are we going to talk? You going to talk to us about this contract?
did.
I was just going to say real briefly about Contract 5. We covered some of those details in the last meeting, but I do want to go through a little more detail. I just kind of talked generally last time about the contracts and status, but specifically on June 5th, and some of this information is in your packet, we received 7 bids, so that was really good. There's a lot of interest in doing work, this type of work in Yarmouth, so that's exciting. Because of that number of bids, I believe we got good, attractive bids. They ranged from just under $20 million to just over $30 million, and the low bid is $19,853,026.45, and that was provided by Diggett Construction. We've done all of the reference research, and it's being recommended to you tonight that Diggett Construction be awarded contract number 5. That's the summary of what we're asking for.
Good for a motion now? Move
Mark,
to.
you need more information?
Yeah, can we just go over a little bit, just for the folks that are watching at home? There are many people that are still very confused about wastewater, so I appreciate you sort of indulging myself and others. Can you explain a little bit, when we talk about Contract 5, exactly the nature of the work, when it will begin, when it's likely to end?
Certainly. Contract 5 is that area between the Parkers River Bridge and Higgins Kroll Road, and the only other contract after that that's more west of that is from Higgins Kroll to the Barnstable Town Line, and that's contract number 6. So they're roughly numbered in order, and we're slowly marching to the west with these construction contracts. So that's the limits of the project, if you will. The duration is we are ready to sign the contract. In fact, the contractor has already signed his portion of the contract, provided all the documentation that's necessary. It's waiting for your approval tonight and the authorization for the town administrator to sign that, and then it will be considered fully executed. With that said, there's still a month or so period of time in which submittals get generated and turned into the engineer of record, which in our case is CDM Smith. They review everything from pipes to valves to fittings to the pump station, and that gets approved. But that is a little bit of a process for that to happen. What we expect at this point is for Diggett Construction, if this gets awarded tonight, to begin work on October 1st. So there's a little time between now and then when we get everything together. They order the materials, they mobilize to the site, so that's roughly October 1st. The duration is 900 days. Now, we are hoping to move through that much quicker than 900 days. In fact, we've seen that with some of the other contracts that were completed ahead of schedule, if you will. But in the contract duration, they have 900 days to complete the work.
That's great, thank you.
You know, we might add that we're very happy as well to have a local contractor be able to win this bid, a Cape Cod-based. In fact, they're headquartered in the town of Dennis. They are qualified to do this work, and I think we feel strongly that having those Cape Cod ties will help it go a lot smoother. I know with our other Cape Cod-based contractors, we've had a much smoother operation.
Now, I'm glad, Madam Chair, I'm glad that point was raised. It also means local jobs as well. I mean, the people that are going to be working on this project most likely will be coming from the area, and that's an important factor in all of this as well.
Might mention too, good Mark, in keeping with your wish to make sure that everybody who wasn't at the July 22nd meeting, I believe that's when you made the first presentation, and that is available on video. So, and they're all labeled with the go-to spot. You can go right to the discussion on and the presentation by Jeff and his team on the wastewater construction project. So people can review what we went over last time.
Good thought.
Ready for a motion? Move to award Phase 1, contract number 5 to Diggett Construction, LLC of Dennis.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's the whole motion?
That's the motion.
Is there anything else we need to do with respect to this? We're all set, Jeff?
Yeah, that should be good
Dollar
for,
amount wasn't in there?
It's not, but we can add it in
And
the amount, in the amount of $19,850.
No,
19 million.
I wish it was 19,000.
More than that.
That would be nice.
$19,853,026.45.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'm still in favor of it.
All right, I
Good.
didn't think we needed if it's not in there. I thought there was a whole written section on how it had to be
No,
read.
it
All right,
wasn't part of this memo, actually.
Yeah.
all right.
I also appreciate, Ryan, you're coming here and showing your face and coming before the board. We've talked about you a lot. Yeah, your ears are probably burning, right?
Do you have a few things you want to talk to
I think it'd be
the
helpful,
public
yeah.
about? Introduce yourself and how people can contact you, what it is that you do specifically for the project?
Yes, so my name is Ryan Chase. I'm a resident of Barnstable, but we actually used to live in Yarmouth several years ago. I've been here about 8 months now. Like I said, as the Assistant Wastewater Superintendent and the unofficial ombudsman or official ombudsman of the wastewater project. So I know many people here tonight. I've got to meet a lot of business members and residents, and I know that it's a very big task, monumental task that we're doing. But I think we all agree it's critically important to Cape Cod as a whole, not just Yarmouth, but all the towns on Cape Cod that are undertaking this. So I'm excited to be here, and I certainly feel after the short time I've been here, there's no doubt that we're being led by a great group. So I'm fortunate to be a part of that.
Thank you for those words, Ryan. I know the last time Mr. Colby was here, we talked a little bit about our approach. You weren't in place when we started the previous, well, not in the capacity that you are now. And with October 1 quickly coming and multiple contracts to manage. Jeff had mentioned at our previous meeting that you would be doing outreach, door-to-door outreach, specifically in advance of any work being done, in abutting properties. So, again, I'd like to talk about that, what pieces you're coordinating, handling, also, and how the public gets in contact with you.
Yep, we actually had a meeting today with the Chamber of Commerce, which went really well. But yeah, I do like to try to get out to all the businesses, not necessarily every resident's home, but at least try to get out and reach out to everybody that the project that is who will be affected by the current projects. I think that's important just to get the notices out. We've talked about putting a name with a face and also being able to speak directly to people and let them know kind of what's happening. So that's been something that we've also learned quite a bit throughout this process. I feel like we're getting better with our communication, and that's the first step, is to get out and get
Ryan,
the
when we
outreach.
talked to businesses about no business is going to be shut down, which was what we used, the term that our board was told that everybody was able to operate throughout the construction. How are you going to manage to make sure that both the contractors, the flaggers, and the businesses know how they're going to be accessed? I know that you used Waze before. We asked people to go to Waze, but having a longer stretch now, it's going to extremely complicate our traffic situation. So I really want to be in front of this. We really have to get a game plan in place that everybody understands what's going to happen. And I know we put a lot of information out. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't really read the information until it impacts them, which is problematic, right? And you end up with that frustration. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that go and then they're told, oh, you can't go this way. You have to go over here, but the business is right there. How are we going to make sure that, in fact, people are going to assist them to get where they need to go?
Well, I think that's a cumulative effort. We have a lot of progress meetings. The police have been great. They have a officer in charge that works with the flaggers as well. I keep in direct contact with the detail officers and the flaggers. I think they've gotten a lot better, as we all have, with the, being a little bit more welcoming to, traffic and drivers, so that at least when they ask the questions, or if they feel a little bit more comfortable to ask, because we have been pretty accommodating. They have been pretty accommodating with getting people to where they need to be. Most important thing is really that people have to engage with, the traffic officers. Just if they have a question, to feel free to ask. Also with the reach out, with the outreach, letting businesses know that, they can post things on their websites is also helpful. The Waze apps is helpful, and just having an idea of, the detours, having the information up on the website. So I think it's kind of a spearheading it from a few different directions will at least make it, a little bit more convenient for
Announce
people.
your 800 number.
It's 7
Cell phone, it's not an 800 number, but yeah.
Yes. 771-7921.
The Water Department, 508-771-7921.
I think we need to get an 800 number that says "Call Ryan."
That's right.
Call
1-800-CALL Ryan. But
What I was just
Put a bullseye on your back. So just kidding.
What I was going to add, if it wasn't perfectly clear, is on this particular contract that you've just voted to award, Ryan will be going to every property owner along the stretch. One of the things that traffic is certainly one of the big issues. The other one is making sure that everybody realizes they can have input on their service stub location and how to get that properly communicated to us if there is a need to make an adjustment. And so Ryan is going to be handling that on the going door to door for every particular property. That's more than Lori and I could do under previous contracts, but we have committed to that for every single person getting an individual visit from town staff for this particular contract.
Excellent. Does anybody from the board have?
No, I think what's important to understand is from this board's point of view, we see communication as an incredibly high priority. And that's one of the reasons why we had an interest in creating your position and making sure that you could be sort of our ombudsman on the scene, on the site, and communicating with the people most affected by this project. It doesn't mean just, being there for the call, but it's being sort of aggressive in making sure that everyone is affected is aware of what's going on and they have access to your phone number so that if they have any questions, they can have them addressed. So a lot's riding on this because, we're very well vested in this first phase, and our hope is that it'll continue to go, well, let's put it this way, we hope that it goes better, all right? I mean, because the reality is we've had some bumps and some hiccups, and there have been some impacts that have been of real concern to this board, and our hope is that we can do a better job. So, like I said, I don't want to sound like there's a lot of pressure on you, but there is. And that's just the reality of it. So we don't want you to feel shy about coming back to our board. Coming back, I think it's incumbent to come back when Jeff's back and Lori's back to give us updates, to be part of that conversation, so that we can all, in the audience and the people in the community, can really get familiar with you and who you are in your role in this, because you're like our cleanup hitter in our lineup. You occupy a very, very important position, and a lot is riding on this. So, again, I don't mean to put a huge burden on you, but the reality is you're carrying a huge burden. Yeah. And we're going to be supportive. If there are things that you need, the things that we should be doing, if there are things that we can do to help make this job go better, we're gonna be all ears, and we're gonna be very open to any and all suggestions, because we do see a phase 2, a phase 3, and a phase 4. But if we can't get phase 1 done right, then there's not going to be a phase 2. There's not going to be a phase 3.
Sure.
So, good luck to you.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that sentiment, and like I said, the communication is key. But I do feel like we have a great team in place, and being a part of that, like I said, being available to the public, I enjoy that. So
we have no doubts about the great team. We do have a great team, but with a great team, that means there are high expectations.
Absolutely.
As well.
I wouldn't mind too if, Ryan, when you do come back for reports, that you give us some anecdotes. Tell us what you have done and who you've spoken to. And I know from the Station Avenue piece that there were a few residents who had specific issues, and I was curious as to the follow-up on those issues. So when you come to speak to us, if you can bring some of those and what you did to solve it. I'm also curious, we talked very generally about a public meeting. Where are we on that, through the chair?
I can give a quick update on that. What we are doing is waiting for the detailed schedule from this contract that was just voted to be awarded tonight. Diggett Construction, in very short order, should provide us that detailed schedule that we can communicate to the public. That's going to be a big focus of the meeting. We expect it to happen in very early September. We've been talking with the Chamber as recently as just today about that meeting when it might be best to occur, but early September with a detailed schedule from Diggett. We already have schedules from some of the other contractors, but we're still waiting for a missing piece on the schedule.
Excellent. Okay. Super.
Joyce, do you have any questions?
I just had a question. If you can see where the real spots are, where the merchants aren't able to get people's attention, would you ever think of civilian volunteers there? I mean, with a kind of, thing that indicated they were a volunteer and that they were trying to help you get where you needed to go. I'm just thinking that might be a bit of an attention getter as well as maybe a help to the businesses. I live in South Yarmouth, so the one that I'm very aware of is Old Main Street and Route 28, and especially the little shops that are on the corner there in that little stretch mall that has no parking to begin with. Have you ever considered that? Because we could always put out, if the board were willing, some kind of call for volunteers on that, if you think that would be helpful.
I think we have a safety issue there.
Me too.
Look at it.
Well, no, I mean, we have, flaggers are trained and have a certification to be out on the road. People unfortunately don't pay attention, and I would hate to have a volunteer get hurt. At least if they're working, they have a recourse for themselves. I don't know, for me, it would be a safety issue, but we could leave that to the experts.
It's something we can certainly consider, and we'll brainstorm about other possibilities as well, but I do think that if we were to have engaged volunteers, would definitely be some training that would be necessary, so we need to kind of think that through.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of them as traffic directors so much as attention callers, almost like with sandwich boards or a funny uniform. Yeah, kind of this mart is still open. I'm at the point where I'm willing to consider anything, as you can see.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming. I think to Mark's point, the stakes are high. And not just coming back for updates, but really honestly reaching out to us with any suggestions that you have how we can help you. Because we don't know what we don't know. And, it needs to be communicated so that we can fix it as soon as possible. And I've said it several times, this is probably the biggest public works project this town has ever taken on. And we have learning curves, right? We've learned already, so we need to get it right. We need to get it right, and we need to do better. And, I know that you guys have an amazing team, and you're up for the challenge. So we're part of the team, so let us help you however we can, and I'm hoping for a successful next step.
Absolutely.
Bob, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to recognize, Ryan, our office in the town hall is very often, the spot where local residents contact us, whether in person, email, phone calls. We get a lot of contact on issues related to inconveniences surrounding the wastewater construction. And I've worked personally with Ryan on more cases than you could count on your hands. And that each and every case, the indispensable role of being out there personally in the driveway, in the living room with individual homeowners and business owners and resolving issues. Look, there's a lot of inconvenience associated with this construction. We've learned that. And having a single person that's able to personally meet and work out all of these issues, it's worth its weight in gold. So I know Ryan's in there and he's fighting. And if you hear of any types of issues, forward them to me. Don't hesitate. And, we've got ourselves on speed dial. And, that's how we handle them. We get out there on a one-on-one basis and try to solve the problem. So I want to thank Ryan for that.
Great. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Thank you for your update. Nice to meet you. Good to put a face here for the public to see, and I'm sure they'll see you out there.
See you soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is discussion and vote to appoint Amy Fruguletti as our Assistant Town Administrator. Amy, I know you're here tonight. If you want to come up to the table, I'm sure Bob has a few words first, and then we'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First of all, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce you personally to Amy Frigiletti, and I had trouble with that too.
Sorry.
After a while, it rolls off your tongue. It's
I'm going to say it a few times.
you say it a couple of times, and you get used to it awfully quick. And so, Ms. Frigiletti, I have appointed as a unanimous recommendation from our Assistant Town Administrator screening panel as our new Assistant Town Administrator. And for the public that doesn't get access directly to the memos we send out, Ms. Frigiletti possesses a master's degree in public administration with over 21 years solid experience in Massachusetts government and local government in Massachusetts. Her last 5 years have been increasingly responsible positions as the assistant or deputy town administrator in some of the top-tier communities in Massachusetts. She's currently serving as the deputy town administrator for the town of Franklin. And it's important to note that she is well experienced in many of the critical areas that directly impact our community, areas that we were very interested in when we met her. These include, we've talked already a little bit about economic development. She's an economic development specialist, arts and the creative economy, legislative affairs, planning, green initiatives. She also, and I think more importantly, possesses extremely strong communication skills and general management skills, which we just are in great need of in our community. She's very adept at working with the town administrator, a team of highly qualified department heads, which we have here, an engaged board, and the public in implementing community goals, improving local services. I feel that she will be a very valuable resource for years to come for the town of Yarmouth and moving forward. And she's in front of us this evening. The appointment is an appointment that I make subject to, if the select board is unhappy with that appointment, you can reject and we start again. But we certainly hope you'll welcome Ms. Frigiletti onto our team.
Thank you. Thank you for your summarization of this very extensive and well-rounded resume that you have here. If you would like to just take a few moments and talk a little bit about yourself, that
Sure.
would be great.
I'm happy to, and thank you very much for having me here tonight, and thank you, Bob, for the appointment. Like Bob said, I've been in government for over 21 years. I currently serve as the Deputy Town Administrator in Franklin. I'm a Yarmouth resident. I've lived in Yarmouth for over 3 years now. I actually had applied for the position several years ago when I knew I was going to be moving to Yarmouth and didn't get it at that time, and was really happy to see the posting again come forward and interview for it. The interview process was wonderful. It was great to meet many of the department heads, and really looking forward to coming closer to home and serving my hometown. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and welcome. Mark, do you have questions?
I don't have any questions, but I'm going to be thrilled to be voting in favor of and supporting your appointment. I think it's terrific that you applied the second time. And, we take a great deal of pride in our town administration and our department heads. We think we have one of the strongest administrations in municipal government here, probably in the state, if not in the region. And I think you're coming on board and joining us is a huge asset. It really is. Bob has briefed us on your background. We've looked over your resume and all your qualifications. No, we're really thrilled to have you join us. And I'm looking forward to you're coming on board. I understand you have some other things to take care of in your life before you come here officially.
Congratulations. I do, yeah.
Congratulations on those developments in your life. But we're very excited about you coming here, and wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I can say, as a resident, I feel very much the same way about, all the staff here and the department heads. I've had an excellent experience, and I'm really looking forward to being on the other side of that and working with everyone, the boards, the community, in my role here. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Joyce?
Oh, I'm delighted that you have the comparative experience of several towns, and quite different towns, Wellesley and Franklin. And I hope you'll bring all sorts of new ideas from those towns and from your own, condensation of the experience to Yarmouth, because we are shameless about stealing really good ideas if we see them, and
Everyone
we'll
in
do it.
municipal government does that, yes. So that's great. Yeah, the different form of a government is really interesting too. So in Wellesley, we had a representative town meeting, here, open town meeting, and town council form of government in Franklin. So it will be interesting for me too, as well, to see the different aspects of the forms of government. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, welcome.
Liz?
Congratulations. Thank you
very
for
much.
being with us. And I just, without disclosing your address, which part of Yarmouth are you actually a resident of?
Well, I am in Yarmouth Port. I'm over near Grays Beach.
Near Grays Beach. Okay, good to know. And I think you're going to be a terrific addition to what is already a terrific administrative office. So thank you.
Amy, I'm sure you learned in your interview the dynamic role that our former assistant town administrator played. For us here, I think it's a critical time to have somebody with your breadth of knowledge on our team, because there's a lot of great opportunities to start anew right now. As was mentioned before, we're getting ready to add some other new department heads, so having some strong leadership qualifications. And not only do you have town administration, and all of these things that I read are all things that of course we're dealing with here, police, fire, all that you have. You were chief of staff for city council, you worked in the Senate, you worked in law enforcement. So, it's just the compilation of all that together is really, I feel like you're a very strong candidate, and I'm very excited to see, as Joyce said, all the different pieces that you're going to bring with you here. And it's a new age. It's a new time. We're building our team, and you're going to be here to be part of that. And I think that it's wonderful. And we asked Bob when he brought this forward to us, you could wait 21 days, or we could put it on the agenda and discuss it and vote it, so that way we don't have to wait the 21 days. So I would accept a motion from the board to accept this appointment.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We look forward to it. We hope you enjoy your little brief time that you get before you get your wheels running here, and we'll be off and running. We'll be getting prepared for town meeting. As you said, it's a different form of government, so town meeting, learning our charter, all that, I'm sure it's great reading material
Yes.
between now and the next few
I
months.
plan on it, and my understanding is my predecessor has very detailed and comprehensive notes, so I look
Yeah,
forward.
I'm sure. Have you ever worked?
Bill wrote Amy a letter, a really long,
That's
I
nice.
can't wait to share it.
That's nice. Do you have any experience with a regional school district?
Not a regional school district, but we have, some of our vocational schools. Well, we had the Norfolk County Agricultural School, so,
Okay, great.
but most of the high schools were in the communities. that
Great.
I
The
serve,
dynamics
so.
of that is a little bit different when it comes to the funding formulas and such, so that's a little bit of a learn too, but I think the rest of it, you're,
I do know that a little bit from working at the State House, though, so in the Chapter 70 formulas.
Great.
I think so. But I'm looking forward to diving right in.
we're looking forward to having you do it.
I
It's
appreciate
great,
it.
Amy.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for coming
much.
tonight. We really appreciate it. We're going to see you soon. You're going to see us so much, you're going to be sick of us. It's going to be great.
True, yeah. No, it's going to be great.
Bob's like, I can tell you that's true.
It's going to be great.
All right, our next agenda item is a discussion and vote for the appointment of our library director, which is also a memo in your packet here.
And I'm also very happy to introduce you to Mr. David Aronson
David, welcome.
Evening.
with us this evening.
Evening. Did you want to say a few words and then we'll let him?
Certainly, Mr. Aronson is currently serving as the library director for the town of Whitman. He holds a master's degree in library and information study from the University of Rhode Island, and he does hold a Bachelor of Arts degree from Brandeis University and is certified in professional librarianship by the Mass Board of Library Commissioners.
Is that a boring class?
No, it's just part of the process of once you finish your master's degree, it is
Librarians
required.
are like they used
Get
to.
certified. You know, we'll have to find another international institute to certify him as well. I just am so impressed to see all of the department heads that have sought the highest distinction in professional development. That's just one of the hallmarks, I think, of the leaders that we have in our community, and it's very noticeable, and so another shout out to Mary up there. But Mr. Aronson has developed a strong, and another thing we look for, a progressively responsible career in library leadership, working through 3 different communities, moving up the ladder every time. And our staff representatives, which we had 5 library folks that assisted us in the overall panel. You know, I love the panels and getting more people involved in it. The staff representatives found Mr. Aronson to be very direct, earnest, and down to earth, and in that's in their words from the written reports that they had provided to me, and it resonates very well with me, and it's true. He is down to earth, and he does possess all of the skills required for success in this position, including budget making skills for the library. He's got supervisory experience, and we additionally think that he's going to do extremely well in preparing us for, and it's a major issue we have, the challenges that this community faces in the design development and moving forward with the appropriation process and construction for our new library facility. So we're already hanging that on him as a key thing to develop those partnerships and engagement in the community that's going to see us through to having that new library facility developed. And we have a similar situation in our charter where, based on all the recommendations that I've received, I've appointed Mr. Aronson, but his appointment is subject to whether the select board accepts it or not.
Excellent. Mr. Aronson, did you want to add a few things and introduce yourself for the public?
Well, I just wanted to, I'm very excited to be hopefully working with all of you. It seems like a tremendous opportunity. I was working on Cape. I've been working in libraries for about 9 years. I was in Mashpee for 4.5 years. My wife Erin is here, and our boys and I live in Sandwich. So we have 3 little boys. We're very committed to raising our family on Cape and being part of the community. I'm very excited to be back on Cape and getting to know the town of Yarmouth a little bit better. I think libraries, it's a very exciting time for libraries generally because so many things are evolving, both in our service models and our materials, and being responsive to our community needs is really kind of the future of libraries, in my opinion. So working through that, and then obviously through the building project, designing something that suits the community's needs and that will be a real asset in the future, I think is something that's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and welcome your questions and input if you have any ideas that you'd like to share with me.
Excellent. Liz, do you have any questions?
No, but I like what I hear. I like the idea that you're looking to have a more modern facility, because that's definitely what we need. And the fact that you spent some time in Mashpee, I certainly know that's a good facility. So based on knowing that you're coming from facilities that have what we're looking for, that will be quite helpful, I think. And I'm delighted that you have a family with some small children to make sure, although Mindy Harrington is all over that, you'll be right there with her. So I think this will be great.
Great. Thank you. Joyce?
Well, from your resume, I'm convinced that you can run a library and probably keep an eye on the design of the new library so that it will have maybe a nice meeting room like the Mashpee Library does. I'm curious, what book would you say was, to you, the most striking in the last 5 years? Anything, any genre.
Oh, well, so I actually lead a book group right now, and we alternate between nonfiction, which are things that I'm interested in, and classics. So I torture them with, we read Mrs. Dalloway recently, which they did not really quite connect to, which is hardly a modern book. I would say, though, a book that I thought that was really interesting that flew way under the radar was a book about Soul City, North Carolina, which was a development that was built that did not really get off the ground in quite the way that it was intended to, but it's just a very interesting study in sort of the political process, the development process, especially at a certain point in time in American history. So if you're into unusual nonfiction, I certainly recommend it. It's well written, so.
Thank you.
There you go. All right.
Mark.
I don't have a quiz for you tonight.
All he does, he's just getting your guard down.
There's a robust quiz coming.
Well, welcome. And Yarmouth loves its libraries, as you're probably aware. We love our Yarmouth Port Library, we love our South Yarmouth Library, and we love our West Yarmouth Library. We're very, very, very committed to libraries, and obviously we have a new challenge. We're trying to do something that we haven't had much success with in the past, and that is to figure out how we improve things and go forward. The challenge has been getting a consensus in our community and then moving forward. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We still have a lot of work to do. We've got some bridges still to cross, but I'm wondering, have you had any experience at all, David, in working on a new library project or a building project, or maybe do you have something in your experience that might shed some light on handling some kind of renovations or improvements?
So I don't have direct project management experience like this, but we did in one of my previous lives. We owned a large commercial property when I worked for the real estate trust, and we did all of our own sort of renovations, improvements, all that type of thing. So permitting and all that stuff. So I do have some at least hands-on side of the construction world, and certainly in my current role, the town of Whitman only recently kind of rolled out a facilities department. Prior to that, everything was sort of handled in-house. So I've been working very closely both with various vendors, with the staff that there are, just on all of that day-to-day type of stuff. So I do have some understanding of kind of how all the pieces come together.
Yeah. Well, I think what's going to help you with this project is we've got a terrific architect. We have a terrific OPM, and the support staff here in Town Hall has been fantastic. And you've got people on the committee that have had some sense of the history of the project. So the good thing about working on a project like this is just all the support and the talent that's involved. And I mean, I have to say, Jane Kane was, an institution in this town. We're all going to miss her, but you've got some big shoes to fill. But you also have an impressive background yourself, and I know we're all going to be looking forward to working with you as you come aboard here in the town of Yarmouth. So,
well, I'm certainly looking forward to working with all of you. And yes, I mean, Jane does leave some big shoes to fill, so it will be a real challenge to step into them. So.
Great. Well, I've read your resume, and I'm glad you brought up that part about the real estate and development, because I was looking at that as a nice piece of experience when you entering into this. And as Mark said, there's still challenges in front of you, but I think the experience that you bring, both in the library service and elsewhere, is going to help. And Jane is amazing, but having a fresh set of eyes, and I just look forward to you getting your feet wet and coming back to us with potential recommendations of things that you see that maybe we could do differently or do better. I just want you to know this board's very open to hearing that and excited. So with that, I will accept a motion.
I move that we appoint David Aronson as Yarmouth Library Director. I don't have any of the other specifics.
That's all we need.
To be clear, we might want to endorse the appointment, because it's the
point.
administrator's appointment. We just want to
endorse the
enthusiastically endorse it.
Very good.
Authorize the appointment. That's the way it's written. Is that the wording you need, Bob?
Yes, that's fine.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you
you.
very much.
Welcome.
When is the, have you worked out a start date or?
We're looking at mid-September, probably. I obviously have to give notice, but yeah. But I'm very much looking forward. I'm going to try to get in and, I have some time off coming up, so wander around, talk to some of the staff that I haven't met yet, and be ready to hit the ground running. Got a lot of work to do.
Excellent. Well, welcome.
Make sure you make friends with anybody who's wealthy so they can write checks to the Yarmouth Library Development Committee.
There you go.
Okay.
Lots of cocktail parties.
Yes. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, next we are going to discuss the Director of Community Development. There is a recommendation from Bob, another memo in your packet puts forth 3 finalists. This is a little bit of a different appointment, as Bob had mentioned before. This is an appointment and an interview process through the Select Board in accordance with Town Charter, Chapter 5, Section 5.1. The Board of Selectmen shall appoint all department heads. The town administrator shall submit to the Select Board the names of not less than 3 candidates for the department head interviews and subsequent appointment. The group of department heads shall include designation by the town administrator to approve by the Board of Selectmen. The Select Board, we'll change that when we get to our charter review committee. But in any event, we have 3 applications here. I think that this, Bob put it out also in an email, and we have set aside a tentative date pending whether or not, which would be next Tuesday. Have you heard back from?
Yes, we have, and I think we're locked in.
Okay, great.
4, 5, 6 p.m. for the 3 candidates. And no, I think with your agenda this evening, this is really great. These are some critical leadership positions in our community. We've attracted some extremely high-quality candidates to every single one of them, and the 3 folks that I'm recommending, I think you'll be delighted to meet. And we'll have some support with suggested questions and managing the process for you. And we hope to start on the 19th sharply at 4 p.m. and have you meet the candidates. And we tried to slip it in between the 2 meetings so that if the board has a comfort level, then at your next meeting, which would be on the 26th, you could potentially take action.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, as far as format goes, that will all be, the agenda and everything will be put out. Usually we have, in the past when we've done it, we've done one at a time. They won't all be in the room, but the rules are typical. You can have a little bit of flexibility, but we usually ask the same questions. So if you're going to ask one,
Level playing field, yeah.
you're going to ask the same. You can have follow-up questions, but the questions that you ask, I'm not sure how many we'll have time for, maybe 2 each, and then with
That's about right.
with a follow-up. But those questions that you ask will be asked to all 3 candidates, so choose wisely. And
we'll have some suggested questions. And I really need to acknowledge Sarah O'Reilly, our Director of Human Resources. First of all, for this entire process of this recruitment, the work that she's performed has just been completely admirable to get all of this straight. And she's already schooled me on what's going to happen next week, and I'm on a short leash, I want you to know. We're going to be sequestering the individual candidates, so they're not going to be able to listen in and hear the other people and get the questions in advance, and we're going to keep it, safe from that perspective. But, and we're also going to have some suggested questions where you don't have to ask those questions, but it'll help in trying to, create a little bit of consistency among the three candidates. And I can review those with the chairman, before, and we'll have a packet that goes out similar to a normal meeting, only that our agenda will be the 3 interviews.
Great. Does anybody have any questions?
Tracy, I had a question. So is this like a posted open meeting then, public welcome?
Yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't have a public comment portion. It is
Yes.
styled as it's a public open meeting that is a workshop/interview process. So the public will be able to attend. We hope to televise it, just like a normal meeting, but the focus will be on the conduct of the interviews. It won't be a normal agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Trying to think, I think who was the last one? There's probably
Fire,
posted meetings,
police.
fire chief, police chief, for any of the ones that
Those are
we've
the
done
two.
in the
Oh,
past.
okay,
Town
I can picture that, yeah.
It's all the same process, so if you want to review how that kind of worked. But the discussion, our discussion and everything in terms of who we choose is in public. So whether we have it depending upon, we should discuss that, how our agenda is, chances are, typically, it would be typical to sit on it, and the nice thing about having it in public, which we've never had too much, is sometimes you have a gut right away, but, we won't post to vote at the next meeting, we'll put it on the meeting after, and then that way you can hear from the public and
Right.
hear what, what people's feelings are on it, and then, then the next week we can come back and have a discussion and vote in public. Mark, you have anything?
No, I think that process works well. I think it would be a mistake for us to vote that day, even though some of us may be tempted to do so. I think there may be questions or things that we might want clarification on. For example, there may be something that comes up in our discussion that we might want to get clarified. So we should give ourselves sufficient time to do some additional vetting and get things clarified if we need to get anything clarified by the other candidate. There's nothing worse than feeling rushed into making a decision. I've found that when we've done generally well as a board when we've given ourselves sufficient time to sort of mull over what we've heard and spend some time, deliberating and giving it some thought. So I think that process works well, Tracy.
Yeah, no, the only difference is, Sarah, I'm sure you did a great job. This is no disrespect, but most of our hirings for a department head, whether it's police, fire, or town administrator, in the past has been done through a consultant. And I guess my question is the consultant, we lay out our
Desires.
yes, but with a town administrator or a public safety leader, the background to me is a little bit more, I'm not sure what type of background checks on a division head like a Community and Economic Development Committee, Community and Economic Development Director is, other than references. Is that, so I.
Yeah, we do the reference checks, we do the Corey check.
Okay, all right. Okay, great. So make sure that all those are done. If anybody have any questions or information they want in advance of?
Oh, surprises.
Oh, no, I don't have anything. I just want to make sure that everything is given to you that you need, or if you have everything in this resume here that you already want, there's nothing further?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're good.
perfect. All right, so we're all set for next Tuesday. That's great. Moving on to our next agenda item, is a presentation of we're a little bit early. Is everybody here? Okay, all right, perfect. We are going to have an update of our local comprehensive plan, a presentation.
Well, timing is everything.
Well, we didn't want you to have to get bored waiting.
All right, just got off the golf course. It was a great hot day.
Oh, it was. Gee, hopefully you had water out there. Whew.
These meetings hardly ever run early.
I know. Well, I'm trying. If you want us,
Something
if
new.
you need to catch,
Trying something new.
Joanne, if you want.
Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll watch and learn something on how we can move ours along as well.
Doesn't always happen. I wouldn't watch. No. If you need a minute to catch your breath, though, we can.
I do not.
Okay,
I do
perfect.
not. I hope I didn't hold you up.
Not at all. It just flowed perfectly, just right like that. Thank you.
So I believe the first item the planning board has on tonight is our local comprehensive plan. Good evening, Madam Chair and other members of the board. I'm Joanne Crowley, Chair of the Planning Board, and I'm joined by our town planner, Kathy Williams. We have a planning board member here, 2 planning board members, 3 planning board members.
Can we make it 4?
Deirdre and Susan, thank you for coming. The planning board is pleased to provide an update to the select board on our progress so far, which I think has been significant with regard to our local comprehensive plan. In our last update with you on May 6th, we reported on some of the chapters, I'll refer to them as, the community outreach efforts, goals, key issues, and action items, and our growth policy. In your packets for tonight's review, you have all the chapters of the draft LCP that are now out for review and public comment. I would like to also add that the members of the planning board, our town planner Kathy Williams, the BSE group, our consultants, have made exceptional commitments of time to this effort over the past many months and have contributed greatly to the progress that we've made so far. At this point, Kathy has a PowerPoint presentation for you to bring you up to date, and we would welcome your comments as we move forward. Thank you.
Good evening. Helps if it's on.
Maybe not.
Oh, there we go. So why is an LCP important? I think you guys, as select board members, know it really serves as our master plan, helps us make sure that the key issues that we've identified, we have specific actions that we can address over the next 10-plus years. The LCP is going to include these. Put the microphone down just a little bit. I'm sorry. It's okay. Is it on?
I'm not hearing you too well.
Yeah. The LCP includes the vision statement and growth policies. Remember, we did the vision statement back in 2021. It has our community goals, existing conditions, kind of what's the demographic.
Kathy, can you move that mic closer to you?
Sorry, we're having a hard
Yeah,
time.
we can't.
Can you hear it at all?
I think it's
No,
when
we
you
want
turn
we
your
want the people
head
at home to hear
to
you
look
as
at the
well.
PowerPoint. That's when we lose you.
That's
There
weird.
you go.
All right, we will try that. Does that work? Is that
better, thank you.
Okay, all right. So existing conditions talks about demographic trends and some general data, and then we really spent a lot of time looking at the key issues and needs of our community, and we spent a lot of time with the community finding out those particular issues. We also reviewed a bunch of different things that we're actually doing right now to address a lot of these key issues and let the community know that we have a lot of things going on in the town of Yarmouth. We have a section on housing, which relies heavily on the housing production plan, which was completed in 2024. We have a capital infrastructure facilities plan. We outline all of our public engagement and how we're going to be monitoring the plan over time, and then the targeted action plan and implementation matrix. The implementation matrix is the heart of the plan. It identifies, in brief summary, all of the action items, who's responsible for implementing them, the general time frame for them, and then also potential funding sources. So we're hoping to adopt the LCP at the town meeting in fall and November 17th. Thank you for extending that later. We needed the time. And also then upon approval from town meeting, seek certification from the Cape Cod Commission. There's certain benefits with getting certification. It has to do with development agreements. We're able to be a partner for that. We can also look at changing some of the thresholds through a Chapter H or modifying our growth incentive zone. So this is just the vision, a very brief portion of the vision that we did in 2021. We really want to be a town that's attractive, affordable, inclusive, really values our nice, clean, healthy environment, and has a strong economic base and a diverse business interests, and also lots of places to have fun and socialize, and as well as educational excellence. One of the things we developed as part of the LCP is the actual growth policy. Where are we interested in growing and how? We really are looking to manage growth. I think all communities are, and add that development in places where we can add benefits to our community and to our residents and business owners, while also protecting all the great resources that we have and everything that makes Yarmouth, Yarmouth. The economic growth is really focusing on areas where we have municipal sewer, basically in our Route 28 corridor, as well as our hotel properties along South Shore Drive, and then we get very specific in some areas along Route 28 that would benefit from some redevelopment and growth. And then one of the things for certification that's required is you need to reference the Cape Cod Commission's place types, which are identified up there on the top. So you're basically indicating that Route 28 We really want to see that go from what is kind of a suburban commercial development area to maybe village center nodes that are more in line with the Cape Cod Commission's community activity centers, where there's a lot more walkable village centers. Other areas of potential growth are enhancing our village centers along Route 6A, aligning with the historic areas and the place types, and then also thoughtful reuse of the town-owned former Matakees Middle School property, which has a variety of opportunities to meet a bunch of different needs. While we are doing this, we want to be sure that we are protecting all of our historic cultural resources and promoting resiliency, which is also important, and then stewarding all of our valuable water and environmental resources. Again, looking towards the LCP certification with the Cape Cod Commission, you need to look for consistency, not line for line, but just general consistency with their regional policy plan. The Cape Cod Commission kind of breaks down their policy plan with natural systems, built systems, and community systems, and you can kind of see how we've kind of mirrored those with the Yarmouth LCP themes that we'll go into a little bit more detail. So natural systems, a lot of this particular section relies heavily on the 2024 Open Space and Recreation Plan. Had a lot of good information in there. So looking at water resources, we have 6 action items related to wastewater management to continue with the implementation of the wastewater program. And some of those things are obviously completing phase 1 and looking for new effluent discharge locations, continuing with our regional septic treatment facility, continuing with the support for the RAC. For water supply, we have 6 actions that are related to attainable or sustainable water supply, a high-quality water supply that meets our needs of our community for growth. And those are things like making sure we're on top of appropriate treatment, improving our aging infrastructure, looking at our water rates for those capital improvements, as well as things like water conservation education. Water resources for freshwater and saltwater, we have 8 to look at preserving and protecting and restoring the quality and functions of our freshwater, our marine and our ocean resources. And those are types of projects like our tidal restoration projects, the water quality study that's being done at Long Pond, evaluating, implementing some of the Cape Cod Commission's pond strategies. They did a freshwater initiative recently. They have a lot of really good information and fact sheets and different ways of looking at our ponds. And then continuing work with the Hyannis PFAS Community Working Group and others. And then all of our great programs with shell fishing and fertilizer programs, and then looking at stormwater projects. Wetland resources, we have 6 action items to protect and preserve, restore the quality and the natural functions of our inland coastal wetlands and buffers. And some of those are with our wetland restoration projects that you're familiar with. Also looking at updating our wetland regulations, getting specific land acquisitions for things like saltwater and wetland migration due to sea level rise. And then just continuing with a lot of public education on the regulations and what homeowners can do for their best management practices in their yards. Plant and wildlife habitat, there's 6 action items there to protect, preserve, restore wildlife and plant habitat, really to maintaining our diversity and protecting all those rare and endangered species. Those types of projects and action items are like our invasive species project, making sure that we're identifying and certifying vernal pools on town property, continuing with our shorebird monitoring program, and then also looking at zoning changes to limit land clearing. Open space, there's 6 action items to manage and protect, expand our open space and conservation lands, really for protection and the great amount of passive recreation that we have and just the great quality of life here in Yarmouth. So those are things like maintenance that we need to do. We incorporated something about Adopt a Park. I know that Mark had mentioned that before. Improving the signage within there and then wayfinding to other nearby attractions. Looking at prioritizing land acquisitions depending on a bunch of different things, whether it's continuing an existing conservation area or it's protecting a wetland resource and that type of thing. And then just continuing with our wonderful trails, continuing to print those and distribute those so people know what's available in our conservation areas. And the last one in natural systems is coastal resiliency, and we have 9 actions to prevent and minimize risks from storms, flooding and erosion, sea level rise, and a wide range of aspects of the town of Yarmouth. These are things like updating our hazard mitigation plan, making sure that we continue with the municipal vulnerability program and with the 2.0 to make sure that we can maintain eligibility for all of our grant funding. We have a bunch of
resiliency projects, the Packet Landing Resiliency Project. We have that neighborhood emergency egress study that was done by an MVP. I believe Amanda Lima recently came to you with regard to some updates on that. That's south of Route 28. We're also looking into a Lewis Bay coastal erosion, accretion, and shoaling study, and then also continuing with our dredging program. So the next slide just kind of shows you an example of the matrix, and it just does it for the natural systems under wastewater. You can see a brief summary of the action item, the time frame that we think is going to be happening for the different phases, who's responsible, and then all the different funding sources. And if we didn't know right now, it would be kind of a situation of to be determined.
If I could interrupt for 1 second, this is the only slide I think we're going to have on implementation matrix. This is one of the more critical elements that the commission looks at, that annually they're going to want us to update them on how we're doing. And for all of the committees and staff departments that are identified, we need to get their fingerprints on all of these. And of course, with the help of Mr. Rittenauer and all the staff here at Town Hall, we need to make sure that all of these are appropriately assigned and that we've got all the right timeframes. We've done checks and double checks on these, but as we go through this process, we want to make sure we're not locking into a timeframe or a responsibility for a particular group that's not deliverable. So it's important that these things be considered deliverable. And these will change over time. We'll be adding and deleting these over time as we go through. But this implementation matrix is for all of the action items in the plan.
The good news is we're pretty much working on the vast majority of them already. So there's no super big workload that's just dumped on anyone. So that just shows all the stuff that we're doing. So looking at the built systems, we have the community design and land use. There's 5 actions there to promote the creation of our walkable village areas and neighborhoods where we have adequate infrastructure. A lot of the action items related to that is zoning related, taking a really hard look at our zoning bylaw, what we can do to expand business and housing opportunities and expanding mixed use. We're also looking at maybe once we get certification of the LCP, we'll be eligible to take another look at our growth incentive zone and see if we can modify that and update that. And then also updating our design standards and our subdivision regulations, which are a little dated. The next one is transportation and connectivity. We have 14 actions to maintain safe, accessible, and efficient network of sidewalks, bikes, roads, and public transportation. A lot of these are related to the Route 6A Village Center and the 3 Mass DOT projects that are going on Route 28. We also have the Station Avenue Corridor Study that was recently done that had some short-term and long-term recommendations that we need to investigate further. The Cape Cod Commission also did a Vision Zero Safety Action Plan where they identified segments of roadway in town that are of concern, so we could take a look at that and see what we can implement over time. The Cape Cod Commission has taken on the brave task of doing a Route 6A visioning study, trying to get some consensus on how we can make improvements to Route 6A. And then, of course, enhancing and strengthening the coordination between the town and the Gateway Airport. And then also things like solar radar signs to see what we can do about monitoring speed and regulating speed for people. Climate mitigation and energy, there's 8 actions to promote renewable energy initiatives, energy conservation and efficiencies to reduce consumption and the production of greenhouse gases. This is all kind of in support of the Commonwealth statewide net zero carbon goals.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Is that
You're
switch
talking
on?
back there and everyone can hear.
Is the switch on the side?
Yeah, I mean, it's being projected. It's just you're talking low, and you're not right up against it, so.
Okay.
She relies on Western Mass charisma. We have to listen in.
Okay. So where was I? Climate mitigation and energy. Some of the action items are obviously we have the Municipal Energy Manager Grant and hiring somebody for that position, and implementing Green Community Act projects, and supporting the Energy Committee, which I think is being reconstituted now, looking at different green infrastructure at municipal projects, whether it's solar canopies, level 3 EV chargers, geothermal, looking at different ways that we can minimize greenhouse gases and maximize efficiency for any publicly funded projects that we're working on in the town. And then also with regard to waste management, we have 7 actions to promote a sustainable solid waste management system for Yarmouth and the region. And some of the actions are there will have to do with the Plastics Reduction Bylaw Committee and finalizing that amendments to that bylaw, supporting the Recycling and Solid Waste Advisory Committee. I had an interview with them. It was very insightful to find out the things that they were working on. Regionalization of waste and sludge disposal and recycling composting. We're kind of at our maximum with composting at our facility. And then also different opportunities to convert waste products to fuel. I know we had looked at that some years ago with the anaerobic digester with Ed Centio. I think they're still continuing to look at that in a different type of mechanism for that. And then just minor things like license plate readers at the gatehouse and the annual cleanup. Capital infrastructure and facilities, that's a whole separate chapter unto itself that's required in the LCP, and it outlines the larger scale key capital facilities and infrastructure projects that are needed to accommodate future growth and redevelopment in locations supported by the community. So it doesn't include everything. It's really meant for what we can do to anticipate future growth. So there's a lot of things that have already been incorporated in the various action items regarding wastewater, water, tidal restoration. All those things I mentioned before are mentioned in the capital infrastructure and facilities, which also includes a table that identifies a bunch of additional information on who's responsible for those things and the timelines on those. The last system is community systems. The community character and cultural heritage. We have 8 actions to protect and preserve our important cultural, historic, and archaeological resources and help foster a nice sense of community. And these are action items related to a historic Yarmouth initiative, what we can do to bring attention and tourism to our many historic locations. The Revolutionary War Monument, the Town Common, public art. There's also an archaeological reconnaissance survey that's been funded, and then looking at the historic museum and repairing the Baxter Grist Mill building itself. The economy has the most action items. There's 16 action items to promote. We were looking for a thriving year-round economy with a bunch of different business opportunities while also supporting our wonderful tourism and hospitality sectors. We're also trying to promote more of a business-friendly approach to economic development and take into consideration balancing that with, environmental and infrastructure impacts to our community. So some of the goals there are related to trying to incentivize mixed-use development on Route 28, defining and implementing maybe some the reuse of the Matakey site, which has a lot of different opportunities, including a possible larger indoor-outdoor recreation facility, looking at enhancing marketing efforts, additional economic development staff. I think Kurt mentioned that earlier. Investigate economic programs and creation of that community development corporation that might be a little bit more nimble in acquiring properties, and also simplifying some permitting related to entertainment. The housing section is, again, as I mentioned, heavily reliant on the HPP, the Housing Production Plan. There's 8 action items to promote, preserve, and the production of adequate supply of safe year-round ownership and rental housing that's attainable for people of all income levels. Some of the action items obviously are implement all the great action items in the Housing Production Plan, and also continue funding the Affordable Housing Trust, which does a lot of great work, and completing the short-term rental study that's being done by UMass Donahue. And then also looking, they're actively part of the Matakey's potential housing at that particular redevelopment site, and then also collaborating with developers and also looking at identifying town land or gray fields or blighted properties that might be good for potential requests for proposals for housing development. The town services and recreation, those are 2 items that are not required to be in the local comprehensive plan, but that is something that came out of the visioning that people were very interested in, had some very specific goals for those. So these are really the first, with regard to town services, is actions to provide an efficient and effective government, and there's related to specifically the general government, public safety, health, the library, and education, and learning. A lot of those action items relate to things like communication, attracting and attaining town employees, looking at residential tax exemptions, electronic voting, the regional dispatch, all our great human service grants that are out there, the library building, and of course continuing with all the great programming and facility improvements needed at the senior center, as well as ME Small, and looking at the regional school agreement periodically. Recreation, there's 9 actions there to provide year-round active recreational opportunities kind of for all ages. And these things like completing projects like the Parker River Landing Project that should be done this fall, the Chase Brook Park and all that great golf capital to keep our our residents enjoying our golf courses, and the athletic fields assessment that's being done, and then looking at different ways to water. I know that DNR is looking at that, and accessibility, and that's just all the great programming that we have for recreation. One of the things that we did as part of the LCP earlier this spring is we did do a mixed-use study that was completed in June, because we were really trying to get a better understanding of what was impeding people from doing the classical top-of-shop kind of mixed-use development. And we did that with using a community planning grant. We hired BSC Group and also Union Studios to help us with those endeavors. And the BSC Group looked at a bunch of benchmarking, and all of this is on the town website at www.yarmouth.ma.us/LCP. And they have a lot of good examples. And they were smaller scale projects, which was good. They weren't like these big scale projects. I think the biggest one was like on 5 acres of land. And they also did a very comprehensive review of our existing zoning, all of our optional overlay district. They also looked at potential Chapter 40R, smart growth zoning, and different tools and incentives and ways that we can solve these impediments. Union Studios did a great job developing site renderings and illustrations for we picked 3 hypothetical sites, like varying in size from what's typical in Yarmouth was 1 acre, 2 acres, and 3 acres. And we did them. Some of them were mid-block, and some of them were on intersections. And they kind of used our VCOD bylaw and sought to identify what they could lay out on a particular site. What we really found was that parking really had a significant impact on the amount of density that you could do. So if you had something that was more like 1.25 parking spaces per dwelling unit, you could get up to the 16 units per acre, which is our standard zoning. But if you really are looking at 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit, you had a really hard time getting up to 16 because the parking took up so much of the site that it didn't really be able to do that. So it was a very interesting analysis that they did, and they have wonderful renderings that are in there. We also had held a discussion panel with business leaders and developers, kind of getting their input on what some of the common challenges were and what might be able to be done to help them out. Some of these things are beyond our control. The cost of construction has just gone through the roof. But some of the things had to do with the details of, and it's a balancing act, because we want the architecture to look a certain way, but then it adds cost to the project, and you don't want it to be so much so that the project becomes infeasible. So that was a very interesting discussion, and they were very happy to have these discussions and wanted to continue to have them as we move forward. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be looking at a lot of zoning changes. I think we need to look more comprehensively at our zoning bylaw, and we'd like to have them be part of that. The final reports, they're in the link that's included in the in the packet there, so you can look at those. And again, those are on that website. If you go down, you can look at all of those studies and the details. So community engagement, we really started way back with the visioning. We had a lot of different meetings then, kickoff meetings, workshops, roundtables. We had 2 surveys. We had over 30 planning board meetings. We had 4 select board updates, and then a formal vision plan presentation. We've done a lot of different ways in working with the communication department to help get the word out. I've gone to 2 national night outs, which are a lot of fun because I think you hit a different demographic. You get younger people. Went to the Seaside Festival. We also been handing out postcards at town meeting, flyers, social media, the website news items, press releases. I think there's a radio spot going on right now. We have the Channel 8 bulletin. I have a whole bunch of email addresses for civic and neighborhood groups that I send out. And then also we've been coordinating with the school. And then just general email lists for things like people who participated in the Open Space and Rec survey, and just let them know that these things are going on. One of the things that first thing we did with the LCP is we conducted a ton of stakeholder interviews where we asked people about what are your 3 key concerns, what are the 3 things what are the things that you're doing to address these, and what were the things that you'd like to see get addressed in the next 10 years. And it was a town staff, a lot of different boards and committees, the finance committee, capital budget. We met with the school district, we met with civic association, business owners and chambers. We had a great meeting with them, and we got a lot of valuable information from those interviews. And the same thing with the engagement. We had the kickoff, we did the interviews. We also had a crowdsourcing map online so people could provide their comments online as well as on a map. We had a community open house last September. We had the community meeting in January. We had that developer discussion panel I mentioned. So far we've had 23 planning board meetings where we've discussed it, 4 select board updates. We're on our 30-day public comment period, August 1st through September 1st. What we're hoping to do is take this information, develop it in early part of September, kind of into a final draft. And then we're going to have a public hearing on October 1st. So there'll be additional opportunity for people to provide their public comment on October 1st. So as I mentioned, we're out for public comment now, October 1st. October 21st, I'm hoping that we would come and give the presentation to the select board on that. I believe that's the last night for voting on the articles. And then we'll have the November 17th special town meeting. Hopefully we will get approval. And then we will seek Cape Cod Commission certification over the winter.
Excellent.
Thank you. Do you have anything else, Joanne, you wanted to add, or? Okay, we'll go to the board. Liz, you have any questions?
I took the liberty of meeting with Kathy this afternoon. And let me preface that by saying one reason I wanted to meet with her is because I'm bowled over by this work. It's fantastic. It is such a huge piece of work. I read every word in here. Well, I didn't read The Matrix, I have to admit, but I read every word, and it was...
You saw the movie.
I was in the movie. No. But one of the things that we discussed at a high level and that I will help with is some additions to the climate mitigation and energy, the existing conditions page. We thought it would be interesting for a disclosure or a statement on what the current solar that is in Yarmouth, the value of that. Because sometimes it's a little dismissed as it's just there, but it's really working hard for us. So that was something that I offered to help with. I was going to help with some geothermal comments, but it's in there. So Kathy and her team, the planning board team, is amazing. I will add a little bit about the upcoming opportunities, because in December, a new grant incentive program will be launched, and it will kick off another big solar activity statewide. And it's particularly important to take advantage of it now because the federal tax credit for doing solar will disappear. This is its last year's, and that's a huge enticement to developers who would be offering a power purchase agreement. That's where they make their money. They reduce their costs tremendously. So we'll work on that together. I think one of the other aspects is to note the green communities and where we're at with that, because we need to close out the current green community grant, and then we can apply for more green communities grants. And so those kinds of activities need to be heralded so that they are kept up and go forward, because that's been a boon. And so those are the kinds of things. We also talked about the difficulty, as she was talking about balancing. I know Tracy's looking at the clock going, come on, Liz, hurry up. The balancing of sustainability initiatives with cost additions. So when we're talking about housing and even the capital improvement plans for town buildings and so on, that any time we try to add some sustainability, it's upfront costs. It pays itself off in the end, but it can be difficult for developers to want to embrace that. The other challenge that they're having is with the architectural improvements that the town wants to see. It's a balancing act. The developers, every time you want to give it some more clapboard, they see dollars and cents in their eyes. So those are issues that Kathy and the planning board are quite well aware. And so when I say, well, why aren't we doing all of that? She says, because it costs a lot of money and the developers don't want to know about it. So those are the kinds of conversations that we've had, and it's been terrific.
Quite what I said.
Not quite what she said. I misquote right, left, and center. But in essence, yeah, they're not interested in the finer aspects. So I think I'll wrap it up by just saying it's brilliant, and thank you to the planning board and to Kathy. It's wonderful to have Kathy's leadership, but it's wonderful to have the team. So I am very proud that we have such a strong LCP for this town that reflects where we're going and what we want to do.
Joyce?
Oh,
Well, to follow up on what Liz said, she, of course, wrote a grant that was successful for the energy manager, and I would think that that person could be a real resource to you on the comprehensive planning, especially maybe for things like the mixed use. There's some things that we haven't really tried so much in this country, but that are getting some attention now, and there's a company that actually does them. A balcony solar, which is like vertical solar hanging off structures, and that's much, much cheaper for an investment in solar if you wanted to investigate that. And we might, given that that's new to the U.S., we might be a kind of shiny example that could get a discount. I'm just pondering that. But I think that the new energy manager will be a great help. I'm so impressed with the level of community involvement you've gotten on this, because you know this is not easy stuff to understand or to read. And I think that you've gotten everybody to understand at least 60% of it, which is a huge victory. So thank you for all the hard work you've put in. Much appreciated.
Joyce, Mark?
Thank you. I too want to commend everyone involved in this effort. The entire planning board has been, I've watched the meetings and the discussions. Everybody's been very animated and contributing to the discussion. No, they've been great meetings, and your consulting help has been terrific. I mean, I have to give kudos to them. They often get overlooked, but I think they've served you very, very well. And I appreciate adding the suggestions that you have. I think it reads well. That's an important component of this. Oftentimes we're so focused on doing a document without getting it, making it readable and digestible and understandable. And I think we can check that box with this. What's going to be fascinating to watch is how you convey all this to a town meeting. But that's another conversation for another day. The one thing that I would like to sort of focus in on is, our community's going to be wrestling with some major financial decisions, in the next few years. We have to wrestle with, how we're going to fund wastewater improvements. We're going to have to deal with the cost of a new library. I've been checking out costs of libraries, and they're going up through the roof. Orleans budgeted $20 million for a library. They're now looking at a $40 million library. I'm in regular contact with Barnstable and their fire department. They're looking for a new fire facility. Their estimates are now $36 million, and that's for a facility that meets half the needs of the town of Yarmouth. So I think the more we can incorporate information in the document that gives a realistic assessment of some of the capital investments that we're going to need to make. I know we reference, for example, the library, but we're not giving anybody, and you're going to need help on this. This is obviously, you're going to need help from the manager's office and others. But I think the more we can provide full disclosure on all of the capital costs, I know we touch on them, but I would look at it, in rereading it, look at it for how this document, we can take this to the next phase in doing long-range financial planning, because that's what we're going to need to do. We're going to have to take this document, once it's completed, once it's taken by town meeting, and then we are going to have to, this fall, really do a fairly comprehensive financial analysis. So what you could do that can be incredibly helpful to us is make sure that we don't miss anything, and areas where we do have costs, I would recommend put that information in there, even if it's estimates or even a range, because in doing a long-range financial analysis, we should be working from this document. The other thing is that it does provide full disclosure to the voters. If they're going to be voting on a document and a comprehensive plan, they need to really get a full sense of what the overall financial implications are. And this is what we're trying to do for everybody. This is our plan, the community's plan, but they also need to know what the financial implications are. So in some of these areas, there's a need to sort of come up with better estimates or some new numbers, and you're just going to need help.
Would
wouldn't have a clue.
I understand, and I don't want to go over those numbers tonight, but I think in order for this document to serve a real help for us in terms of implementing it, the more information we have on even range of estimates for some of these improvements. For example, resiliency that could be almost anything, right? I mean, if we want to, in a long-range financial plan, make some budget allocations for resiliency, I have no idea what we're talking about. You know, how much money is that? 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 100 million? What's the number? I know what wastewater is going to cost us in 10 years. We've got to come up with 100 million there. I know for a new library, we're going to have to spend 20, maybe $30 million possibly in that area. A new fire station, I'm hearing estimates of $36 million. And I can go on down the line. I think the more we can provide the voters not just with a document that identifies these things, but gives them an idea of what the financial implications are, will just better serve the community. And will serve us as we look at how we're going to implement this. Because that's really what we have to do, is we have to figure out how we're going to implement this plan once it's adopted. And money is going to be at the heart of it. So anything that you can do to flush out those numbers, I think, would be a huge help.
I'm just curious if that's how other towns, I guess I get concerned with, I don't think we'll ever get the LCP passed because it will be an overwhelming, it's overwhelming. And because it's our plan, we have to take each one of those pieces and look at them. And I understand what you're saying. It's a roadmap, really, right?
But it's a roadmap but there's a section in it that is on the financing, capital improvement program. That's an important component of an overall plan.
So wouldn't we just attach our capital improvement plan to it? I don't know. I feel like, you think about PFAS alone. Like, what's the number on that? You start putting all of these numbers in there, it is going to become
Overwhelming.
more than overwhelming. It's going to become something that people are going to very much push back about, which I agree with what you're saying. These are real numbers. But they're not all.
Haven't been tuned yet.
All I'm suggesting is where we have numbers, where we can get better numbers in some of these projects, it would be helpful. It is a capital improvement section. We have a capital improvement budget with numbers in it. There's no reason why we can't find ways to sort of at least make sure some of those numbers are in this.
I'm not sure on our capital improvement plan for the 10-year plan that every single piece is there, though. Maybe that's where we need to add it all collectively.
Again, if we want a comprehensive plan with a legitimate and credible capital improvement section in it, because that's got to be a part of it.
It's not a specific capital improvement program that's in the comprehensive plan. So we got to kind of phase the two. This is the long-term general plan, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. The numbers are important, but it's important to note that, the critical piece is to take the information that is in this plan, then we do the capital planning piece. Now you put it on a time frame. When can the town afford these things? It shouldn't say that we're going to invest, all of this money immediately, because that, is the type of thing that, first of all, it's unrealistic.
Scary.
Yeah, and second of all, it just is not the purpose for the comprehensive plan. One of the key things that we have to figure out is the financial piece. It comes from this, knowing that, if there's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects we'd like to do, that's how wastewater got broken into 8 phases, and it's the same thing with all of them. And we do have a capital improvement program that's going to have numbers for every single one of these things, but it's not a comprehensive financial plan.
I'm not asking for the comprehensive financial plan to be put in this document. We have a capital program in here. All I'm saying is it requires some additional work in terms of making sure that we've got good estimates in here for some of this work. You've got some estimates in here, but some of them need to be looked at. Fire station, there's no number in here. But we have numbers elsewhere. All I'm saying is I think there's some value in providing that information. since that's a component of the local comprehensive plan. I recognize that some of this might be scary, but the thing is that, so what if it's scary? We need to know roughly, in the aggregate, what all these major investments might cost us. And again, I'm not saying you need firm, final, these are all preliminary.
Mark, may I also, or Tracy, it seems to me too, though, that if we're going down that road, we need to then also start going down the road of what are the energy improvements going to save you that are part of the comprehensive plan. So that's one reason we were avoiding some of those comments. And it would seem like if you're avoiding the positive, you want to avoid the negative too. We just don't have the numbers yet.
I don't want to avoid the numbers.
No, well, so I mean, I can cook up, based on real evidence, what we could save if we get solar on the DPW by February of next year.
I personally
Should that be in there?
I don't think that that's where this document needs to go. I think we need to follow the Cape Cod Commission's recommendation, and then once it's approved, we create our capital plan based on that. We have a capital plan. It will be prioritized based on some of the items in here. I just don't think that, how are you going to put a number on housing? How are you going to put a number on the economy? That's not.
There's a capital component to this. In looking, there's a capital component. I understand that, and we have cost estimates in the plan. All I'm suggesting is we take another look at them, make sure that we got area. Yes.
Kathy's saying no.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Do you see any, Mark?
Yeah, I'm looking through it right now.
Because I thought that it was pretty void of that.
My only concern is I don't want people to think that they're voting for that when they're voting for the LCP. Because each individual project is going to come before town meeting for a vote related to the money.
The money, yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
I think it's becoming it would become overly
it's a different
complicated.
type of document, yeah.
That's why they call it That's why they call it a plan.
You can't afford to implement every single one. I mean, I do the capital improvement program every year, and the key thing is you can't just sit here and say all of the projects that you want to do, we're going to fund them all. So this is what it's going to cost, and we're going to do it now. This is a huge challenge for the community, and it's absolutely fantastic to have the priorities laid out. But the process we're going to go through to finance these is going to be.
Again, everyone seems to be misinterpreting what I'm saying. This is not going to be the document that lays out the priorities. It lays out the items that we're going to have to wrestle with in the future. And all I'm asking for is full disclosure. We've already identified these costs in other documents. There's no reason why we can't, at least in the capital section that's here that I'm looking at, which is in the document. Table 5.2, capital improvement and facilities, key needs and priorities.
Yeah, I think, Mark, I think what I'm hearing, again, I'm looking at the local comprehensive guidance from the Cape Cod Commission, and you're on point with that. The capital facilities plan is a plan that outlines the key capital facilities and infrastructure needed to accommodate anticipated future growth and development and protect resources of the town. The plan should include, and they describe these things. Most of them are descriptions of sources of funding, descriptions of the project, description of how the identified facility projects support the vision of the LCP. It isn't necessarily a budgetary financial statement, but I do think that there should be a cautionary note somewhere in that chapter on capital infrastructure that says that our capacity to fund all of these things is limited. I mean, I think that would be an important.
I guess what I'm trying to do is set the stage. We have to do some long-range financial planning here. And my hope is that this document can be at least the starting point for a lot of that work.
And I think with the 10-year capital plan that now the Capital Budget Committee finally has been proposing in the past year or so, that can become, just like we referenced the open space and rec plan, we reference the capital plan that was approved by the town meeting. And you've got all the numbers, you've got the projects, you've got what you have prioritized, and what the town meeting has said, yes, we agree is a good thing. But I would refrain from having this appear to be a budget document because it will have issues at town meeting. I think we will face issues on approval if it looks like there's some approval of spending, if you will, at town meeting.
Well, really, it's an intellectual master plan. I mean, it's the long-term big picture. And some of this will be implemented when we're gone, but it's still important to have it.
Yeah, but I think you need to check the reality box on what we can afford.
That's the job that comes later.
Yeah.
We got to start somewhere. I'm looking for a master plan that identifies where we're going as a community, the things that we need to do, and some rough idea of what the capital investments are. That's typically what's required. So,
Do you see this as are you comfortable with them referencing the capital improvement plan and then the document I think the document is basically the vehicle on how we're going to take that and prioritize our capital improvement plan. We've worked very hard on the capital improvement plan. I think that's a long-range financial planning. To say that the town hasn't done long-range financial planning is not quite accurate because that's what we're doing. Now, there's a lot of details in that we don't have. We don't know where our debt drop-off is, where the money's coming from. All those are very important. But I think that just referencing the capital improvement plan as part of this, but not putting it in each section, having a cost associated with every item, I think is just,
yeah, we just disagree. I'm looking for a document that's comprehensive.
I do think it's comprehensive that way.
I think it's missing. I think these are key ingredients that are missing.
But you don't think those ingredients are part of the capital improvement plan?
They all have to weave together.
So referencing and having the capital improvement plan as part of that isn't sufficient? You want costs listed in here?
I'm looking at table 5.2, capital improvement and facilities, key needs and priorities. And I'm looking at some of these items with cost estimates next to them. But there are some areas where it's totally blank.
Like, what do you want to put in for public arts? How much do you want to spend? I mean, we don't even have the committee yet. But we know we want public arts, and we're putting it as a priority, but to put in there, we're going to spend $1 million.
If we've already had some discussion, but Bob, if we've already had some discussion as a community in terms of investments that need to be there, we should at least articulate what we think, what's known. All right? Like I said, I'm looking, again, I don't want to go through each one of these. I think.
But Mark, I'm going to focus on the capital table.
Okay.
Because there are 400 action items in this plan. We are not going to be able to assess and align a cost for those action items.
But there are a number of them. But there are a number of them that you do.
That we do, that we can. And on the capital, to the degree that we've missed some things that, like maybe the library and the firehouse and whatever else that we're silent on, we probably shouldn't be silent on, and we'll try to get some estimates on what those might be. But I think I hear you focusing on table 5.2, the priorities in the capital plan, and making sure that we can try our best to get some numbers aligned with each of them.
I'm not going to support this if we fail to provide some due diligence and some real numbers on our capital.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Going on the record.
There shouldn't be anything in here that hasn't been reviewed by the Capital Budget Committee and all of the members of, that are participating in that, most importantly, the town administrator. So the Capital Budget Committee has the list, has the numbers. They're not going to come from outer space, they're going to come from there. And to the degree that we can integrate more information in this, associated with that gives the plan some meat, we will try to do that.
That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
I hear you.
I think we're going to need to rely on the town administrator's office, and it sounds like you have a lot of good information, to maybe take a look at that and put those numbers next to it that you rattle off a bunch of great numbers. If that's what you guys want to do and put it in, we're going to need to rely on other people to provide us with that information.
No, I understand that.
They're going to be out of the sky numbers that we have like Bob said, economic development, how much do we need to invest in that? We don't know that answer. I mean, that's the.
If there are areas where the information is unknowable, then it's unknowable. But for those areas where we have some idea of what the costs might be.
There's a lot of numbers in here.
Yeah,
So
there
we're-
are a lot of numbers in there. That's all I'm saying is make sure that in the areas where we have some costs and information, we just add that stuff in there.
And specifically, if I'm hearing,
Library?
capital is key in terms of trying to lock in with whatever our best numbers are.
That should be our capital plan anyway. I mean, how else
You
are
take,
we
you take,
operating?
you take your master plan and build your capital plan from it.
Agreed.
That's what I'm saying. So we got to start with something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. This information should be here.
I think it is, as much as they have.
Yeah.
If you have more information, just let us know.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I think this is a multi-year process, and so I would guess that a lot of the numbers, given the craziness of the economy at the moment, are probably not very reliably predictable. But I think
Here's an example.
just a question of a current.
Here's an example, for
current
example.
context
Okay,
would be good.
wastewater. We have identified phase 1, right? But we have 8 phases. Shouldn't we at least acknowledge that there are 8 phases? And that we have more wastewater investments that we need to make?
This is a 10-year, I mean, it's not meant to be a 40-year.
No, but I mean, there should be something in here that we have an 8-phase wastewater plan. Yeah, but I would put that's a capital investment that we're going to have to make. That's the easiest one. I don't want to spend all night going through each one of these things, but
It's not in the time frame that they're trying to capture, I think is what she's saying, Mark.
well, we've already made the investment in the phase 1,
Right, and it's right here.
right?
But
There's a phase 2 coming up soon and a phase 3.
Phase 2 is in here, and that would take us through the 10 years. Is that what I think that's where they're coming from.
All right.
We do mention, Mark, not to belabor this, but on page 22, we talk about the 40-year plan.
Yeah.
It's in there.
It's text.
So we're not hiding it, it's in there.
I understand. I'm just looking at the overall capital chart, table 5.2. I'm going through it, and I'm just suggesting that there are a number of areas where we should just add a little bit more meat, since we know essentially what those costs might be.
I have no idea what phase 2 costs are going to be. I don't think anybody knows.
I think we're in agreement.
We have estimates. We do have an idea of what those costs are.
We don't want to go too far out on limbs. I think we are in agreement that the office is going to work with them to provide numbers where they can be provided. Does that sound acceptable, Mark?
That's all I've been asking for.
It's goals first and then numbers.
Well, we'll try to get numbers where we can.
I don't want this discussion to take away from a superb document and a superb process and an enormous amount of hard work. I mentioned this just as a suggestion, and I didn't really want it to dominate the discussion, and there's no need to have an argument over it. I think it's a discussion that deserves some discussion among the planning board members about how much detail you want to get in there. And I'm happy with you folks having that conversation. But it's not going to be that difficult to add a little bit more meat to this. I do believe the voters are smart in this town. They can handle all the information.
And I want it to get approved by the Cape Cod Commission. I want to follow their recommendations. So to the extent that it's going to get approved by the commission, that's the information that we need to make sure is in there.
I think we have all the information in there for certification. I even sent this to Chloe for a double check because they had done a previous one and they had 3 things they wanted us to add. I don't think adding some numbers is going to be anything that the LCP Commission has an issue with. It's up to you guys what you want to do. We just need to be provided with the information.
I'm comfortable being a planning document, and I'm comfortable with our capital planning, doing the capital planning work that it needs to do. But anyway, moving along.
So,
review of zoning articles.
Don't go anywhere.
Thank you. I think you're the next article as well.
She's getting more information. A new presentation. And now.
Thank you, Kathy. I don't have, that's okay. Again, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to review the draft Planning Board zoning bylaw amendments for the 2025 special town meeting planned for November. Early review with the Select Board will help us as we finalize the amendments and obtain further public comment. The Planning Board would also like to thank the public who have joined us at our most recent public meetings. Some of them, I think, were going to come this evening. I don't know if they're here. But I wanted to thank them for their interest, and their participation is gratefully appreciated. In your package is a memo from Kathy that provides some background on these two amendments, one of which has already been before the board way back in 2019 with regard to boat storage, recreational vehicles, and some initial draft language that the Planning Board has discussed at a couple of meetings. The two amendments that we're proposing for additional deliberation are retail sales in residential zoning districts for commercially caught fish and shellfish, and on-site boat storage in residential zoning districts. And so Kathy has a short presentation to give you on this.
So this is in your packet for closer viewing. But one of the things we're going to do to resolve this simple issue of wanting to sell, I should step back a little bit. This draft amendment was assuming that we are a community that wants to support commercial fishermen, commercial lobstermen, and allow this similar to agricultural uses that are in our community. Our agricultural table here does have a footnote 7, and you can see it on the B1, the B2, on that basically says it allows for retail sales with a special permit. So what we looked at was, well, let's separate forestry, fishing, and hunting and have a new B5 that's just fishing, and then mirror what's in the agricultural with that note 7, and then amend the 7 to talk a little bit more detail with regard to the sale of fish. So this is the footnote 7 that we're looking at amending. We just specify that the special permits from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then we go into some additional provisions specifically related to individuals selling legally harvested or caught seafood, including but not limited to fish, shellfish, lobsters, and crabs, and shall be compliant with all applicable local and federal regulations. Just make sure you have your commercial fishing license, you have your commercial retail license, and then to avoid somebody saying, "Oh, give me all what you caught and I'll sell it at my house," we're saying you may only sell what you have personally caught or harvested by the resident of the property. And then the seafood must be sold whole and not prepared or processed. So you're not going to be selling lobster rolls at your residence. And then we just felt that because they're going to be open periodically, that we would allow some type of signage in residential zoning districts and kind of limiting it to very similar to food trucks, where you're allowed to put out an A-frame style sign, 6 square meters when you're open, and just let people know that you're open for business. The Planning Board did discuss the potential of commercial off-site premises signs, and they were not interested in discussing that at this point, because it would kind of open it up to all commercial off-premises signs, which could be more involved than we realize. And then we also added a draft definition for fishing, because we didn't really have anything. It's just catching, harvesting, or taking a finfish, shellfish, lobsters, crabs, and other seafood from a natural habitat. Doesn't want to go. There we go. So at our last planning board meeting, there were some concerns that were discussed about, is this too broad? Is this now expanding beyond what the issue is lobster sales, commercially caught lobster sales in a residential zoning district? Because now we're allowing it for finfish, so maybe someone goes out on their boat and they have commercial fisherman's license, now they're selling it next to their neighbor who may not like that. So do we want to limit the amendments to just lobster sales only, and do we want to just limit it to the residential zoning districts, excluding the more restrictive RS40 residential zoning? I think this would still allow Mr. Tolley to do what he's looking to do. I did request further input from town council just to make sure that it would be okay to limit it. He brought back to me some amendments very similar to what I had proposed to him, just some minor modifications. Didn't seem to think that there was going to be an issue to limiting it to lobster sales only. I've just heard some people grumbling or saying they're concerned about how this might expand the sale of these types of things throughout all our residential environments, and that might be a situation where we get to town meeting and it gets voted down. But we didn't necessarily need to be that broad. Do we want to narrow it and bring it down to lobsters in the residential zoning district to solve our current issue?
Okay,
We also discussed that the special permit would, once it was issued, would expire with the property. So if the property were transferred, the special permit would expire.
So its uses with the resident, not with the property. Thank you, Joanne. Okay. Joyce?
I had a question about limiting amendments to lobster sales only. And I was trying to weigh in my head whether that was a kind of political issue, to get this approved, or whether that was like a very serious planning issue, because other other types of seafood smell more and are miscellaneous and might cause more difficulties for the town.
I don't think that's the case. The whole idea initially was to make it be applicable to everyone, but then then we're like, well, wait a minute. Are we trying to do that, which is fine, or is this a case where we are interested in solving a particular issue that, lobsters are different than people. You have to have a lobster boat, which is not inexpensive. So the number of people who are going to be selling the commercially caught lobsters at the residential property is probably somewhat limited. It's not going to be an extensive number of people. But if you have a boat and you can get a commercial fishing license and you want to sell what you caught at your house, then you might find that pops up more in the residential neighborhoods.
Kind of like limiting it to, sorry, Mark.
Now, I think one of the things we'll find out is, in my discussions with the Mass Division of Marine Fisheries and other state officials, the prospect of us envisioning, if we were to make this a broad definition, the likelihood of these other uses taking place in a residential area, from what I understand, is between nil and very slim, because of the very burdensome rules and regulations that are already in place with those other uses. So from my point of view, if you left it in, creating the appearance that we're being open and discreet and trying to be fishing friendly, I can understand the value in that, but the reality is that the only type of activity that could take advantage of this would be the lobstermen or the lobster situation. Shellfishing is not going to be handled that way, because that's strictly regulated, as well as handling the sale of fish or fish fillets or something like that.
Why do you think that? I'm sorry.
That's what I've heard. That's what the Division of Marine Fisheries has told me. I've spoken to them to find out, better understand what the regulatory standards are and requirements are. And I've had this question, and I've asked this question straight up.
But I don't understand that, because a lot of the Scala people have licenses to sell right off their boat, so why wouldn't they be able to?
They're allowed to do that off their boat.
But
Not
why?
with their property. If we added
Correct.
it, do you think they would
Correct.
sell them off their property, though?
That's not, under the state regulations, I don't believe it's allowed. I think it's worth double checking so that we have at least some authoritative information on that.
It'd be good to know.
Yeah, because my understanding, from what what's been told to me, is that the likelihood of these other activities happening in a residential zone would be very, very difficult, just given the nature of the state's requirements.
Not knowing, though, maybe we should stick with lobsters in light of the upcoming town meeting and do some more research for an expansion. But at this point, I'm happy to approve the lobster sale zone.
I'm comfortable with that as well, because my understanding is that being able to do this other stuff is going to be almost impossible.
What is the Board of Health, what is their requirements
They have to do an inspection.
for, no matter what it would be for
Yes.
the sale of any of the seafoods, correct?
How they're stored,
Right.
the temperature of the water, all of that. There's a whole bunch of regulations
My
that they have
only
to
thing
follow.
is in your bullet point 7, where it talks about, in addition to other applicable special permits, individuals selling legally harvested or caught seafood, don't you think it should say personally caught there as well, to be consistent? And I do have a concern about the signage. I think that signage is too broad. Can it be lit? Can it be neon? What kind of, I think you're gonna, somebody's gonna push the limits of just the A-frame. What kind of A-frame like I said, can it be illuminated? Can it be neon? I think that you have to spell out, unfortunately.
There's a definition. I can check that and see if it's already included
Okay.
in the definition.
Be good. I don't
I
have
don't
mine.
think you need the personally up top, Tracy, because it comes right after that with a semicolon. It's the next.
Again, I just want to remind you, we are going to have this looked at by town council.
Right. I'm really not prepared to say what I support, what I endorse, because, you know, I think that, you know, it's an evolution. You're still working through a lot of the issues. You haven't had your public hearing, so to speak, on it. I don't think we should be taking a position until the legal public hearing has, I'm just gonna give you my thoughts on it. I personally, you know, I think you have to be really careful. I know you talked to town council about sculpting zoning that applies to one person. I would be interested in the Department of Fisheries' opinion on whether or not only one specific type of seafood is there. I don't understand why we would do it just for one person, so if we're supporting fishermen, we should support fishermen. So I don't know why one person would have more of a benefit than the other. I mean, if we're gonna take the position that we're doing this because he was grandfathered, that's a different thing. But if we're creating a zoning article to support fishermen, why is a lobsterman more important than a tuna fisherman? I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
A good point.
That's why we started with the broad, but then there were some concerns that that might be
I,
too
like
much.
Joyce, that's why I asked about the Board of Health. I would be concerned about smells and storage and Board of Health, but if they meet all the requirements, I'd support the way that it's written.
And I think there's always, of course, if we approve just lobsters, there's a potential backlash about people who can't afford lobsters but might like to buy them on their street.
I think, again, our reason in bringing this forward now in advance is that I happened to be on the board in 2019, and we learned the lesson that when we brought the item forward on boat storage and recreation.
We'll get to that. I still have an opinion on that one.
We got all the way through public hearings, we got all the way through unanimous approval by the planning board, and the Board of Selectmen at the time said no.
Right, okay.
So we had done a lot of work, a lot of effort in terms of public hearings. So we just wanted, we're kind of taking a temperature here as to us going forward with the
Well,
public.
the temperature on this side of the table is warm. Okay, you're going in the right direction.
Thank
I
you,
think I respect your recommendation. If you believe that you have to go broad, then I will be supportive of that. If you feel that in your judgment that the board wants to be narrow, I will be very supportive of that. I just appreciate that you've spent an enormous amount of time and energy taking this issue up, hearing from a lot of people, with all the other things that you're doing. The time and attention that you've put into this is just commendable, and it's very much appreciated, so thank you.
I might, while we're taking temperatures, I might note that I would limit the zoning. I wouldn't go broader, just because I think.
You mean keeping it out of the RS40 district?
What's the difference
the
between
bullet
the
point
resident?
two.
No.
Historic district along Bass
Yeah,
River.
it's a historic.
The only thing that's
Can
really
I
allowed
ask
there.
a question?
are-
How soon does the final wording have to be ready for the special town meeting?
I'm sure there's a date already set.
We have one more planning board meeting before the public hearing, which is scheduled for September 17th.
There you go. But also, like B3, you have it allowed in a B3, which is a business zone. So I don't understand if it's for people doing it at their house. I mean, don't we already have zoning for B3?
There's no retail allowed in B3. We can certainly combine them, lobsters, or leave it more broad, but then restrict it to just the residential zoning district. So we can take this input and talk about it some more, but we need to come up with something that we're going to present at the public hearing so that we can notice it.
All right, does anybody else have any comments on, did you get a sense of the board, where they're at? Okay,
I think so.
okay,
I think so.
great. Let's move on to boats.
Boats.
Bring out another 1,000.
I don't know why this isn't working. Maybe it's, are you blocking
the
me,
way?
Joey?
I'm in the way.
Okay, there we go. So really, the general purpose is to allow seasonal storage of one boat in the driveway during the active boating season in residential neighborhoods. Right now, the zoning bylaw requires you to put it behind the front face of your building, so it's not as obvious, it's off to the side. There's some people with smaller lots, as Mr. Childs was mentioning, or just not the space on the side in order to put it there. There's also people who, I can put it there during the winter time, but it's going to take me a little maneuvering to get it over there, and they don't want to keep doing that every time they take their boat out. So the idea was whether maybe we could allow for some modification there. So all it does is shows you the draft modification here. It's the regular camping and recreation equipment, which does include boats, and then just saying one exception of one boat lawfully registered to the owner or resident of the property with a maximum length of, and we picked 28 feet, that's still up for discussion, and located on a registered trailer may be parked in the driveway of a residential lot, regardless of location related to the building, so people don't have to put it there, from April 1st through November 1st, provided it does not create a traffic or fire safety issue, and adequate on-site parking remains for the property. So people aren't putting their boat in their driveway and then parking in front of their neighbor's house and causing people to be upset about that. And this just is including there what the definitions of the boats. It is interesting that, for trailers, 32 feet is mentioned. For motorhomes, 32 feet is mentioned. So maybe 28 feet should be 32 feet or something along those lines. So what are we really looking at? The planning board's looking at the suitable location for boats on residential properties. They picked the driveway. The seasonality of the boats in the driveway, they were keeping it during the boating season, so it would be not something that would be stored there, shrink wrapped in the front of your house all year round. Further discussions on the maximum length of the boat in the driveway, and should we limit, this is a new one that came up, which would require quite a bit different than anything we talked about in the past, is should we limit the number of boats allowed on a single property? So that's kind of where we are on boat storage.
I was looking at this and thinking maybe we should limit the number of boats on a single property, because you could start to move toward something commercial, like renting the extra boat or something like that. But on the whole, I would like people to feel that they could do more things with their property than we have already allowed. And I think it's kind of crazy that, and I'm a non-boat owner, that you would have to kind of get it behind your house where you might have 10 feet when you had a lot of front lawn. So I guess I'd be okay with the boat just about anywhere on the residential property. I realize that we can't have it pushing any vehicles out onto the street for parking. I don't know what to make of the seasonality of boats in driveways, or whether they might even look better with snow. But that's one I have no opinion on. But I think the maximum length of the boat, the driveway, or the 28 feet, and the limiting boats to a single one on a single property is good. But I'd be very flexible on that first question about where on the property and all that.
Great. Liz, do you have any comments?
I wondered, and I don't think that there's a way around it, the one boat lawfully registered to the owner or resident of the property. And I look at that and think, gee, an owner might actually object, but that's up to them to have in their lease that you can't park. Okay. White wrap is okay if the boat is in white wrap and it's parked in front of the house?
It doesn't say that you can't.
Yeah, so it would be okay. All right, I'm okay with it.
Mark?
Yeah, I just want to go on record. I again appreciate your taking this up. Again, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And I completely endorse Mark Grills' comments before the planning board. He's made it very, very clear. I've driven around the town, gone to places, looked at some of the problems that he's described. Yes, Yarmouth is a community with a lot of small lots. And I've seen recreational boats in areas that they probably shouldn't be in, but I've also noticed they have no side yards. And in some cases, the side yards are so small that whatever vegetation, trees, and buffer may exist between two houses, that would have to be eliminated in order to comply with the bylaw. And I've been around my neighborhood. I've seen several properties in my own part of town where this is an issue. So I can tell you, I would not want my next door neighbor getting rid of all the buffer that exists between our two houses. But if they had a boat, that's probably what would have to happen. So Mark has suggested that we need some relief. There's some people that are going to have difficulty complying with the bylaw as it's currently written, so they need an option. And I think you're trying to come up with a good option, and I totally support that. Because we have, and I was corrected today when I said we have hundreds of lots that are small. I was told we have thousands of lots that are small. So I appreciate Mr. Childs coming here tonight and speaking to this, but he's not alone. There are lots of people in the community that would benefit by having an option of taking their boat and putting it in an area where they won't have to destroy buffer or take some other course of action that may actually be more disruptive and opposed by their neighbors. So for some folks, this is just not an easy decision. And like I said, with all of the small lots that we have, there are folks that have problems. So like I said, I support the building inspector or the director of inspectional services. I support what Mark has been saying, and I appreciate all the time. Again, I know you folks have spent a lot of time on this, and I appreciate your work on it. I really do.
Are you okay with the seasonality?
I would take that off. He said at your planning board meeting that the phone would start ringing once this passed with that requirement in there, and I am totally endorse what he's saying. Our inspection department is incredibly busy. We're asking them to do a lot of work, and quite frankly, I don't see having the time that is spent on these kinds of actions, from my perspective, is where I want to see them spending a lot of time. We're a boating community. We're a coastal community. I think these two measures is at least some way to reaffirm to the community at large that we still see ourselves as a coastal, boating, marine, fishing-friendly community. And I think we should really put we should speak to that and affirm that. And so I think what you're doing with these changes makes all the sense in the world. So, but I would take that out. I agree with Mark that if you keep that in there, that's just going to keep them busy. And I don't want him calling to Florida, trying to chase people around to get them to move boats. Now, if the town had a lot and we were in the business of boat storage, if we're in the business of boat storage, then that's a different story. But the reality is we're not offering people, for the taxes that they pay to be a Yarmouth resident or the boat excise taxes that they pay, that they're really stuck with having to deal with this themselves if they don't have the spot. So I like the idea of providing relief. I think you're on the right track. I would get rid of that time restriction, and to me that would make the most sense.
I think it makes absolutely no sense. I didn't support it in 2019, and I won't support it now. I think that this is not the vision that we want for our community. I've said it several times. I had a camper. I had to build a driveway to put my camper on. So are you prepared to handle campers in the front yard next? Because, hey, we're a camping community too. We support camping.
That's not a living, though.
Small planes.
I mean, what you guys vision in the front yard and what I vision in the front yard are two totally different things. If you had a beautiful boat in the front yard, I got no problem with that. I love boats.
No,
I love being on
get
the
it.
water. I love being near the water. But that is not what's going to happen.
We know that.
That is not what's going to happen. And I don't want to see that. We already have eyesores all over this town, and this is only going to add to it. And I feel bad for Mr. Childs. I watched the presentation. I think you guys have done an amazing job. It has nothing to do with the context here. It has to do with the principle. And I think that it's going to be a slippery slope of what's going to come next. What are you going to allow in the front yard next? These people are going to be parking on the street. They're going to put their boat in the yard, and they're going to park on the road. How are you going to handle that?
Well,
I mean,
I have a specific
Especially-
question.
Excuse me, I'm not finished yet. But if you had a seasonal time, so that way at the end of the time, they put it somewhere else, but now you're gonna make a recommendation that it's gonna be there all year long, it's not gonna go anywhere, so if it is a eyesore, you're never gonna get rid of it. I just think it's a slippery slope. I mean, again, you have every person with a camper that has the same problem, that has to do the same thing, and unless you're prepared to do that, then I wouldn't support this. Go ahead, Mark.
Are there other towns that have a similar bylaw to this on boat storage restricting it? Because I've asked around in a number of towns, and I'm told that Yarmouth, people are only aware of Yarmouth having this bylaw. Marshfield, I was told, had something similar to this years ago, and they got rid of it because of the problems that it created. But I'm not aware of another town on Cape Cod having a restriction in terms of boat storage.
I haven't done the research, but I did have a conversation with Mark Grills, and he didn't think anybody else had it.
Yeah, so-
as well, this has been in our bylaw since like 1972 or something, so it's been in there for a while.
And my understanding is that in the 1971 town meeting, when this was taken up, the principal thrust of the zoning bylaw was to deal with campers, recreational vehicles, and that kind of use, which apparently was proliferating in town. There was the only reference to boats was either as a footnote or as under an explanation of what et cetera meant. So the thrust of the article in the 70s was on campers. That's what I'm being told, is that the thrust was campers and RVs. That in that period of time, Yarmouth was having a fair amount of RV camping activity going on in homes, and the idea was to restrict that. But boats wasn't the thrust of it.
Well, I will share with you that this is going to be a slippery slope. Members of the planning board, if you've had the chance to listen to any of our meetings, the whole change in the availability of accessory dwelling units and the rights that property owners have, questions have been raised as to, well, can they have a boat? How many boats on a property should we allow? And if they're doing it properly, it's behind the front line of the house, so the ADU in the back can have, these are just some of the questions that have been raised in terms of how many boats and where and what rights will people have under the existing one. I mean, if we don't change this, under the existing one, it's we don't know, but it's possible that people who have legal ADUs, that's a residence. So these are some of the concerns that have come up from not only planning board members but the public in terms of this particular. So we know we're going to hear all sorts of different opinions on this, and
your job has been made harder by the state's accessory bylaw when we had gotten one passed through town meeting that was a better match for the town.
Well, they're easier. There's less permitting involved, which for some people is a good thing. But this kind of complicates this issue. And as Cappy mentioned on the previous slide, we did talk about some consideration and deliberation. Maybe we limit the total number of boats on a property. If that were to be where the board kind of winds up, that will take a much longer process than special town meeting. This is not something we can accomplish at special town meeting.
If you limit the number of boats.
If we limit the number of boats. Anyway, we know the coming up is going to be the next couple of meetings, and the public hearing will be interesting.
Tracy, can I ask
So we do just need the sense generally from the majority of the board that we can go forward with this with public discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask what the date is for the deadline for the special town meeting for the final wording of bylaws and amendments?
It's in my schedule, but it's on the zoning. We don't need the final language till, I think it's the third week in October.
October 21st is when you
Oh, okay.
We need the, well, as long as we have the general article, which we have a place already in there, that initial deadline is September 12, and then they go through their process with the public hearing, and then get us the final language by that third week in October, and then the subsequent week that it would be on the agenda for the select board, and at that time, we've put it right at the end, so we need to finalize the recommendations on the zoning and execute the warrant all that last week in October.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful to know.
Be here before we know it.
Yes, it will. Thank you very
And we don't want to screw up Halloween. We've got to get it out of the way.
All right, great. Joyce, the discussion for committee policy.
Okay, yes, and here is our latest version. I made a mark where there was an edit from one person who sent me something. There are actually two people, Deirdre and Joanne, who have gone through the qualitative process. One is as a candidate, and the other as a chair. But unless you want me to go grab them in the hall so you can interview them and find out what they felt about it, they're getting away. But I think I've satisfied some of the things that concerned you. I think, like, for example, making clear on page 2, yes, there's some arrangements for committees. If any committee wants to have a full committee interview a candidate, that's all there. They just have to make it comply with open meeting law.
I appreciate that, but I guess logistically, then, how do you envision the conversation to happen? So, when we had the sheet, and that happened, they weren't discussing their recommendations and potentially, as you mentioned, hurting somebody's feelings because they just did their average and they handed it in. But now, if you're gonna have a whole committee in public interviewing, how does that happen?
Yeah, actually, there won't be a whole committee meeting in public because the only person this morning with the meeting of the committee chairs who wants all the members to interview new people is Old Kings Highway.
But we have to take care of them, too.
Oh, yeah, but see, they have a way to do it.
They have a way to do it, but they're gonna be doing it and discussing the applicants in public, is what I'm telling you, so.
Worried about the grading, not the meeting, the grading.
The grading.
Not even the grading. It doesn't have to be a grading system. If you're uncomfortable with the grading system, that's fine. I just want you to think about when you go to that meeting and you do 3 interviews, at the end, there has to be some type of deliberation. How do you envision that in public? And with your concerns about not wanting to use the paper?
I feel that that's the concern of the chair of the committee who wants that form. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I think it's their choice if they want it.
Should that be in there, I think is what Tracy's saying. Right, Tracy?
I'm just saying that you're not solving your problem. Your issue of concern about the grading system is because you're afraid that somebody may not get graded in a certain manner or whatever.
Oh, that's not my issue.
You don't think people should have a number system to however people feel about them, but if you're interviewing as a group, and I'm not trying to belabor the point, I know I'm alone in this, that's fine, you guys can do whatever you want, but you really have to play that out. How is it gonna be? To me, it would be much better to have them make their recommendations on a piece of paper with a system than to have a full discussion about what they like and don't like about a candidate. That's not gonna help you, so.
And we can always go back to what, we do with requests for proposals. In this incidence, where we do have a full committee, and how do you collect the opinions, which.
That's
and
what
you can go back to an RFP, which is satisfactory, not satisfactory, adequate, most satisfactory, and most advantageous. And then you don't have a grading system, you just have a way of everybody weighing in.
And given that there's only this one committee that wants it,
That's right now, though. When you get other chairs and other committees, it's, I mean, that's not what this says. We're not, I mean, this says that if a committee wants to be
oh,
involved.
absolutely.
So
But
they
they're
will.
clear, at this point, they don't want
So
it.
we need to be prepared for that to happen, which, because I think it will happen. And I just want you to think about how that deliberation in public is gonna be any better than the system that we have now. It's not. I'm gonna tell you, it's not. Things are gonna be said that you don't want said. And, I'm just playing it out in
Devil's
my head.
advocate, and
That's
you're
all.
right, she's right. So do you want us to go back and speaking on your behalf?
I'm not trying to be,
Go ahead. I'm
You
not
can come up with a
afraid of unpleasant things being said in public if they're merited. I'm not seeing and not practicing a committee management where one person usually is interviewing just for one committee. I mean, we have a sort of informational thing about the candidate and try to figure where they would be a good fit. Now, with Old Kings Highway Committee, I can tell you they already have their people picked. And I shouldn't be saying that in public, just did. In fact, the chair of Old Kings Highway was lobbying me to get a non-architect, non-builder
this is
tucked
why a
in.
system needs to be in place.
And that was just
everybody
this
has a-
morning.
Has a voice. That's why it can't be arbitrary. It has to be, there has to be a system. That's all I'm saying. And I know like I said, I'm in the minority. I'm just, I don't have a problem with the way that it was. And I think that there's reasons for that, and I just don't see this solving that issue. That's all. Mark?
I understand what Tracy's trying to protect you.
Yeah.
All right?
I'm good.
So, no, but,
No, you won't
no,
be.
I understand that. But, for example, we're going to have interviews with candidates next week, right? And we're going to be asking them the same questions. And we're going to have in our own heads criteria that we have, right?
Sure.
Which one has the most experience? Which one has the time and the commitment, the energy? I mean, there are going to be things that we're going to be looking for. And I think all that, I think what would be helpful is to flush out the criteria, the things that we're looking for, so that you can make some comparative judgments in terms of which one gives the committee more, is the best fit on a topic. At least identify some criteria that can be utilized. Rather than putting a number, you could make it, they could be subjective judgments. One is superior as opposed to, or rank them with, but something.
As
that
if there were
lays out-
people to be ranked. I love
I
it.
know you keep saying that.
But the point
I
is,
haven't had that situation yet. I've
Yeah.
been there. That's the only
yeah,
reason I
no,
say
no.
that.
The challenge is at some point you've got to, and I don't think this is going to happen, but, you know, the chances are 1 in a billion. But there could be a situation where the claim is made that somehow a decision was made without
Discriminatory or.
discriminatory in some way. And all I'm doing, all that's being suggested is, and it doesn't, you don't have to rank people on a hard number system, but at least some way to make some judgments so that every candidate is being evaluated equally and on the same factors. That's all.
Thank you. You articulated that much better than me.
And
That's what
I
I've been
would
trying to
answer,
say.
So just
I would-
give some thought to that.
I would answer to that different committees require different skills,
Exactly.
so that you can't do a one-size-fits-all with some kind of a rubric.
You can still say satisfactory, not satisfactory.
I think, yeah, there's a way to work this, but again, it should be, you should have some uniform standards or criteria. You know, I've looked at other towns, for example, do they have the time? That's something that's certainly a question worth asking and drilling down
And you
on.
have to be really careful with that one, because that gets into gender stuff where employers wonder if somebody who's a parent will have the time. I would just be really careful about that, but I would be listening for it.
Well, I've seen people not selected because they get so many other commitments that they're struggling to maintain, that sometimes they don't, you know.
Well, anybody who's already struggling with their commitments, I mean, I think
Right.
that's an issue.
I understand.
but-
I'm just trying to explain.
Satisfy you? Let's just use historic. They're going to be at their meeting, you have that feedback from every individual, including the chair.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, a better word is that we use in procurement a lot there, and I want you to notice that they're both positive terms. Remember we talked about this last time?
Advantageous, yes.
You know,
It's not satisfactory.
on the basis of the
necessarily.
qualifications and experience, a person could be designated as highly advantageous, and anyone who applies is advantageous, and it would enable you to single out a person that had a little extra, and the other person might be highly advantageous on a different one. But nobody is not advantageous or unacceptable, just to indicate that, you know.
There was that person who screamed at the staff member and also at the chair of that committee. I mean,
That was pretty bad.
That was.
I realize that's somewhat of an exception. Thank God.
We can build that in, don't you think?
If you want to put in advantageous or something, I mean, that seems fine. But it seems,
What?
it seems like a little piece of this. And what I really am trying to get across is that we want to, when somebody applies, we want to fit them in the best place, not in the place that has an opening.
I agree. I don't think anybody
I think,
disagrees with that.
and if you want to state that in the narrative, that, you know,
I think
that,
she did.
that's fine.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I know you haven't been in the situation yet where you've had multiple candidates and had an accusation that you picked your friend, you picked this, whatever.
Well, you
It's-
didn't pick me.
It's just.
Oh, I've had that. I mean, my in-laws got a call on one of their cell phones. We switch around phones in the family, from a guy who said, well, I think this is your number. I had a hard time getting it. It may not, I think it's your number, who wanted to know why he wasn't picked for X committee. And indeed, that was the screamer.
Well,
So I mean,
think Mark's point
I'm
is
aware,
trying to
you know, I took
protect
this
you.
on knowing that there would be, you know,
but in the-
blowback at some point.
When you,
I think we're trying to do this to be helpful.
it's not blowback.
Yeah,
Joyce.
we're
Don't
trying to
take
be
it
helpful,
that way.
Joyce,
I really.
to make
I
sure
really am
that-
Trying to play out the scenarios in my head about when you do go now, if it's just you, that's one thing, and you go to a full committee, which it says in here now, which I'm happy about, because I do think some
And I
people want that.
put that in for you.
I know, but now you go to this committee and you have a discussion in public, instead of doing it handwritten, that I don't think is helpful to your cause, to make sure that you savor this person and get them in the right spot, right?
I think it's ridiculous, but that's why the other committees don't want it.
I think we've got a solution. Let's try to insert that for the multi-committee review.
For the open committee review, everybody passes in a satisfactory, unsatisfactory,
Something that you
or
can take-
advantageous, less, you know.
Highly advantageous, very advantageous, and advantageous.
Not
Something.
over my dead body, right.
Something that you can take all of them, so you don't have to have a discussion, say anything negative about any of them in public, and make a,
You could even only rank the highest candidate to say, is anybody in this, you know, in this mix highly advantageous for this particular spot? Well, I think this is highly advantageous because of this experience, and at least you have something you could fall back on.
Maybe that's a term for the
you're gonna need something, that's all.
Yeah.
Debbie, I'm sorry, did you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Come on down.
Down. Listen, I've been on my board for many, 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 many years, and I know people are having a little issue with people signing up to be on the rec commissioners. Now, for years, Mike Stone, Dr. Saragin, you know all these people. We used to get together, and there'd be at least 3 or 4 people, and we'd interview them. We had questions for everybody, what their likes and dislikes. We had plenty questions, and we chose people that we thought were good for it. And there was a couple people that we didn't choose because they were just into golf. Not anything gender or elderly or anything like that. So I think we have to get together as far as committee members like we used to, and it worked out fine. And there was no problem whatsoever. But now I'm seeing people
or hearing about people that are on the board I've never heard of before. And our board, we have to work with these people. So what we did is we asked all the questions, and it was 1 or 3 people that we're looking for, and we put our hours down first, second, third. Then we give it to the board here, and then let them make the final decision, knowing that the questions we ask is what we need.
That's
We
how it
need
used to-
on our
yeah.
committee.
I think most of the committees did it like that in the past.
Yes, they did, and it worked out fine. And now I'm meeting people that I've never met before. I don't know what their likes or dislikes, or what they can offer us, or what kind of change we need. And it's getting to the point where, who's this guy? I don't know anything about him. And then we're hiring people, appointing people that don't even make all the meetings. Now, back in the day, we had 2 meetings a month. And if you miss 3 meetings throughout 6 months to a year, you're gone. I don't want to have to repeat the minutes of the meeting again when they should have been here to listen to them. I don't know, maybe I'm a majority, but I love recreation so much that, I'll know when it's time to leave, and it's no way time. And I belong to 2 other boards. And unfortunately, one of them I had to for now. I'm coming back, so watch out.
All right, thank you.
CPA and everything else.
Thank you for your comments, Debbie.
Thank you so very much for listening and doing a great job,
Thanks, Debbie.
everybody. Thank you.
Again, I'm not trying to belabor it. I know if you guys want to vote on them.
You want to do like advantageous, less advantageous?
No.
Okay.
Highly advantageous, very advantageous, advantageous. Those are the 3 qualifications.
And then kind of,
Well, yeah, and then you still have your paragraph, which is fine. But in the case of where you have.
You don't even have to bring that to us. I'm not, when I say that, I'm not talking about bringing it to us. I'm talking about
Right, having it in the records.
in the records that you turn in.
Sensible.
You've interviewed with the committee, you've turned this in, here's my recommendation for appointment, based on the average of whoever was involved.
when
That's it. It
the
doesn't even
full
come
committee interviews.
Yeah. Yeah, or
Sure,
however you want to do it.
it's just that one committee that wants to, sure.
We understand.
Now, but also remember,
But that's
they,
not always gonna
they
be
have
the
now
case.
asked to have a non-architect, non-builder appointed, that was just this morning, to their committee. So there are going to be some things that maybe even town council will have to look at. I don't know, they're beyond my pay grade.
Okay.
I will make an issue.
Guys,
of that.
just to make everybody mad, I honestly, want to mention that, remember, the select board makes the appointments. So you don't need to make appointments committees don't have even if they meet as a whole committee, they don't get to pick who the people are on that committee. You might get a situation where, these committees are trying to pre-pick people to be on it to support one thing or another, and you may not want to go along with that. So I think it's important to get the feedback input and then
But you can say the
make a
same thing about the
recommendation.
appointments chair. Right?
Yeah.
They're picking the people to get their thing done too. So, there's a balance, whether it's the committee or them. That's why having at least the chair and them do it together is good.
I happen to think the chair and the town rep to the committee is maybe better, but smaller group and all.
All right, moving along. We can.
So we can live with this. You want an adjective, like in any situation where there's a multiple, where there's a group interview on record, you want a simple adjective vote
That is for
in the
your-
advantageous or something from each member that they will pass in to me on a card.
And you make the decision based on that. Yes, and you come to us with a recommendation. I don't need to see it, we don't need to see it, there needs to be something, so that way.
And it needs to then be in the records, because when
Well,
there
Pam,
is an issue.
I always gave it to Pam.
You need to be able to go back to something that happened and
You just don't
happened
want
correctly.
You don't want negative things being said to people about people who are trying to volunteer in town in an open discussion. they may feel a certain way, but you don't need to, I mean,
Yeah.
so there needs to be some way of them to express it. That's my
There
point.
might be a possibility of an entire committee wanting highly advantageous, somebody whose qualifications did not meet the legal restriction. In that case, I would disagree.
That's up to you.
Okay, just so you're clear. Because the one, I know you like the idea of the committee interviews, and I'll tell you, we're heading for a bumpy ride with that one.
We're gonna be
But
having
I'm not
a bumpy
afraid.
ride anyway.
Well, the other thing is there's always an option. I don't think we've done it too often, but other towns do this quite a bit, where the candidate list is culled and the top candidates are presented to the board. Or in some cases, the select board interviews all the candidates. I'm not opposed to any of that. We've inherited, the thing that you've done, Joyce, that I think is incredibly helpful is you got us to think sort of expansively about how we handle this. There are other towns where, quite frankly, they do the interviews. They set aside time in their agenda to interview the candidates. And it eats up a lot of time, but there's usually some diversity of opinion. When I was the interim administrator in Brewster, that's the way the select board wanted to handle all the committees that they appointed.
Wow.
They reserved time.
Every single member, they would interview?
They would interview the applicants for that position. Now, usually that would turn out to be a manageable number. Usually it'd have 2 or 3 people. But sometimes that in and of itself helped sort of clarify the candidate pool. But in any event, they all wanted to do it. They didn't trust a committee
Single person.
or some other process. Since it's on them, they wanted to do it. And I'm open to having that conversation as well. I think one of the things that is on our list of things to do is we're supposed to meet with, in our charter it says we're supposed to meet with all the committees that we appoint, right?
Didn't we have an annual report thing going?
We have an annual report thing, but we got away from that. And I don't want to get into why or how, but that could be something. Again, I'm interested in doing what this board is comfortable with. I'm very flexible. I'm very wide open, but I do appreciate you getting us to think about this because it's important. And I'm with Tracy in the sense that it's important to at least have some system, some criteria, some way of evaluating the candidates to at least be able to withstand some charge of favoritism or discrimination. And that's only to protect you, and to some degree it comes on the board. And we have to be sensitive to that, all right? So, if you want to go back and work on this some more. But I'm happy with ultimately on some of these committees, if you feel that you've got to, because you mentioned that there may be a thorny appointment or two coming up. Well, maybe that's one you bump up to us and say, hey, on your recommendations, you say, on this appointment, my fellow board members, I want this one to come before the board. I'm totally open to that. I think that would be, we should do that from time to time.
That raises actually an interesting procedural question that I found myself, like after this morning's committee chair meeting, that I found myself puzzling. Should I even interview somebody who does not legally meet the qualification for a restricted post?
How would they get the interview in the first place if they're not qualified? How would that?
The
how would
chair
that get-
wants them appointed and said so
no,
this
no,
morning.
No, that's if they don't they need to meet the qualifications. I mean, if it was Pam wouldn't give us somebody who wasn't qualified. Pam wouldn't give you somebody who's not qualified for that. They have to be a legal resident. They have to fit the criteria of that appointment,
Right.
or why would you even be wasting your time?
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
But I was asked to this morning. I was deliberately asked to.
Okay. Well.
So, and the person, it doesn't have the professional qualification. So I guess maybe
I don't think
I
you're
should not interview him at all, except.
I would
think
tell.
if they're not qualified, I don't think you're going to have an issue with anybody here on the board.
Okay. I indicated concern this morning when I was approached, and then it was time to start Mary's talk on open meeting law. But yeah, I mean, it's
I think that's a simple
it's
thing,
icky.
is criteria. If you meet it,
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't, if for a town committee, if they weren't a resident and didn't meet the criteria, you wouldn't interview them.
Yeah.
Why would it be any different there?
I don't find it different. The chair finds it different.
Okay, well,
What he needs to be educated.
well, he can come here and
Go.
speak to
Well,
all of us.
we got your
or-
back on that one, okay?
Okay, you got my back?
Bingo.
Great.
And I think it's helpful to have this dialogue so that, you know, Tracy's been doing this a while, I've been doing it a while. Sometimes you forget that, you know, all the stuff that you've learned over the years. So feel free to anytime.
There's reasons typically. No, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be, again, I always say that, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I've been in,
Oh, she used to give me a hard time all the time.
It's what she does, Mark, you know.
No, she would make sure that I was asked. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It was good.
Little
Keep-
robust.
Yeah, she was good.
I
She
would
did.
note
She-
just two other changes. That one is that it's been written in on the page 2.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's-
second paragraph from the bottom.
Go ahead, Joyce. Just let them know about it.
Oh, it's just, they've got it on their copy, the little carrot with potential approval, just to indicate, don't think this is a rubber stamp.
right.
The other thing that is on here that's new that I just saw, applicants is interested in another or alternate committees can view new vacancies on the town website. Is that true?
No.
Yes.
No.
Go to, with the front
Supposed to
part
be,
here.
but the challenge has been to
not
keep
been
up with a
kept
lot of
up.
this stuff.
Yeah.
I would not,
And-
unless we are going to fix it.
Where on the town website is it? There's
If
committee
you go to the
vacancies?
government part on the town website, you know, the little drop down, and then go to I want to,
Yep.
and then put join a committee.
Okay, but that doesn't tell you where the vacancies are.
Sure it does, further down.
Take a look. I haven't researched.
There's a list of vacancies, and then there's a list of all the current committees from which the dead ones have been weeded.
I
Well,
don't know.
if it's working and it's being monitored, that's great. It wasn't when I was the chair. But maybe it's been fixed. I made a spreadsheet and gave it to Pam because there was no spreadsheet. So I don't know where that's at. But as long as there is, that's true, we can leave it in. Okay, moving on, sorry.
I mean, I know that there was a thought that staff member would, you know, if somebody was interviewing for one committee but had applied for 5, let the person know every time there was a vacancy on any of the 5, but staff time can't do it. So I thought direct them to the site where they can see. Oh, thank you, I haven't signed any of that.
Okay,
Good.
all right, so.
Coming back to you there.
Yes, can we put that on the next
Sure.
agenda again, Bob?
As a little paragraph about if the, we're specifying the grading procedure for like the open
Multiple, yeah, if you're.
group
Interviews.
quorum interviews.
I found a spot for it.
Okay, thank you, Joyce.
Oh, you're welcome.
Board and committee actions.
Oh, it's still you.
Oh, right, here I am signing. Okay, let's see. We'd like to accept the resignation from Ed Hoops from the Conservation Committee with thanks for his service.
Thanks, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'd like to make an appointment to the Recreation Commission, an alternate for 1 year to expire in July 2026, Alan Harrison. And as you can see, he's a catch. He's the one that there was a question mark last time because Steve Szanski didn't make the interview, but it turned out his daughter was in the ER. So I've checked with Steve Szanski. They really, really want this guy because he's the athletic director at Cape Tech and has worked in recreational capacities in Orleans, Harwich, and Brewster.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Mention how many years and when it expires
on your motions.
in your motion.
She did the first 2.
Alan?
Yeah, you've
to-
got the paragraphs on.
Well, you have to.
Say it.
Read it. To appoint Mr. Harrison as an alternate member to the Recreation Commission. This appointment is for a 1-year term that runs through July 2026.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so.
We didn't vote.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you. On the Water Resources Advisory Committee, a motion to appoint John Greco for a 3-year full term that will expire in August 2028.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, reappointments. We have 3 from Planning Board. All are for 3-year full appointments to run through 7/31/28. Deirdre Gaquin, Joanne Crowley, Ken Smith.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have the minutes
done?
of June 4th, 2024.
They're so fast.
I move that out of necessity, we approve the minutes of June 4th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Now I'll take a motion on September 17th, 2024.
I move that out of necessity, we approve the September 17th, 2024 minutes.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes pass. Upcoming agenda review, we have to put Joyce's policy back on for August 26th.
It will be its 5th appearance, and may it be the charm.
And we have the August 19 meeting, we'll add in.
You know what I didn't see this year, and never mind. I'll get to that, I guess, later, individual items.
What did you say about the 19th?
We're adding
Oh,
the
the
interviews
interviews.
for community development on the 19th,
Oh,
No,
August.
August 19th,
Oh, thank
next
you.
week.
oh, right, okay. August 19th.
And then we have to, on the 21st, the LCP update was on there of October.
October 21st, LCP. I had something left over from the last meeting. Maybe this is what you're talking about. Joint meeting, planning with LCP?
That's what we just had. Well, we'll have a final one. We will.
Okay, that's
we-
what I
We
had
will
on the-
have one before,
Yeah,
That's the October 21st, that's what you're saying, right?
October 21st is what the date that she had in her presentation for
I
them.
had that from something else, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And so we have proclamation for suicide prevention. How come we didn't do August for the overdose? We didn't have any presentation or anything for the overdose awareness month. I know the purple flags are out there, but
Right,
I
I-
haven't seen anything.
she submitted a use of town property form for the flags, and I approved that, but she didn't come in to do a proclamation like we usually do.
What about the event that she's doing at Smugglers? Doesn't she usually do an event in Smugglers? Have we seen that yet? I have to look into it. I haven't
I'll
seen it.
check on
but
it, too.
We should mention the purple flags that are outside. For a while, I know the police have the flags on their little banners on their cars. For a while there, we were putting purple lights in some of the town facilities to recognize those that we've lost to opioid addiction. So,
yeah.
anyway, upcoming agenda items. Is that right, that there's only one thing on for August 26th?
Yes.
So far.
Okay, so,
Suicide prevention and Joyce's policy?
yeah, but, I mean,
There'll be a flurry of appointments.
appointments, is there anything that we can move up? Anything we're prepared from a list of possibilities, Bob? If there's room on that, maybe we could move something up? I don't know if
Well,
anything's
there's,
ready.
I'm lobbying that we start talking about a transfer fee on property sales. There is a study, Mark, or something?
News to me, I have no
That's
idea.
gonna take special
We
legislation.
want to put the selectmen goals on for discussion on
Yes,
August
selectmen goals.
26th.
Yes, perfect. We
On the
need
26th.
select.
Is there any interested in the transfer fee discussion?
I'm not interested in it, but
You're not?
I'm just one person. No.
How about the town of Orleans and some others have now brought forward a penalty and an enticement for year-round rentals over seasonal. Would you like to talk about
I
that?
would, but I think it's part of our study that's going on, the housing study, right, Bob? Because that was one of the things that I've been
Okay.
trying to work on, is incentivizing people to rent year-round, but that.
Yeah, that's what we were planning on doing, was talking about it with the results of that study, is
Right.
what initiatives should we adopt?
Right. All right, so he's gonna, I'm sure there's other things too, but we will keep that, and if there is room on that, we'll try to see what's ready and prepared document-wise to move up from our discussions too.
And I have a question about the transfer fee, and forgive me if I'm dense, I mean, because I know that there've been recommendations about that and all, but each town would have to vote on it individually?
It's my understanding that there'd have to be a home rule petition, legislation, so it would have to go to town meeting, and then it would have to go get approved.
Okay, I guess I would be interested in that, if we could get that on some future agenda.
Most of the towns are considering it. So put it on or wait for the study, right? Wait for the study. Okay.
Well, it's up to this board what they want to do.
If you have any information on what it is that the other, I have not paid
Well, why
any.
don't I make that my...
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
sharing information on what other towns have done
Let's do
is
that.
certainly helpful. Like, I don't even know what the article would look like.
Let's do
Or
that.
how many
I'll
towns
bring
have
that
acted on it.
It's an additional transfer tax.
No, I understand that, but I there's just a lot in. Background. I know there are.
Wait a minute,
I've
are
heard,
you guys talking about the transfer fee?
Yeah.
Oh, great, okay.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I thought, because I
all
went...
I'm saying is that we don't, I don't think we have any information on it
Don't,
whatsoever.
so I'm gonna make sure that you do, and I will have it so that Tracy can look it over for the August 26th package. If it's not enough and you don't want it on the agenda, so be it.
Well, I don't ever want it on the agenda, but I work on behest of the board, so. So we'll,
Thank you, darling.
we'll see,
Thanks.
we'll see. I mean, I'm not sure if it'll be ready, but, and what else we have there, but if there's room
other-
for it and we have enough information to have an actual discussion, I'm not sure it's ready for that, but if we do,
I will
yeah.
get some The other thing that we might wanna, not maybe on the 26th, but then again, maybe on the 26th, speaking for the Plastics Task Committee, oh, Mark, sorry, go ahead. Because they're gonna be ready for review pretty soon. We're going to the 18th, we go to Board of Health, and then we have our plastics meeting on the 20th. As far as I know, Bob, isn't the regulation is in front of town council at this point?
Yes, they've developed a draft set of recommendations on a regulation, and it's town council is reviewing it, and the Board of Health is reviewing it. It's quite comprehensive.
Yeah, and it's modeled on what the town of Falmouth did.
Do we
So-
want to have that in front of us on the 26th?
Well, there's going to be something, there's going to be an article in the town meeting.
I know, that's why
Right,
I'm
so
wondering.
all I'm suggesting is that we can take it up when the articles are being discussed.
Don't have it.
Yeah, not on the 26th, but soon in September.
Yeah, we'll be looking for something because we're going to have to make a recommendation on whatever article they're proposing, so.
When does
I don't want to have 2 meetings on this, let's get it when they're ready to present something as an article. And we have to have a recommendation.
When does the Seaside Festival Committee go before the, I know there was an email from Jan.
Their funding for this year is in place already.
I know, no, that's not my question, but when are they going before the Conservation?
Conservation Commission?
Is there time for us to have a discussion on our next meeting before that, or? when-
I don't know, they've been in front of Concom, I think, already, and they were requested to come back. I think the feeling was, they asked them to put together some volunteers to clean up the whole issue was the debris
Right.
on the beach. And so they were looking for that additional information, and I don't know exactly when the Concom's meeting is that they're coming back.
All right, well, I don't know how the board feels about it, but I would like to write a letter of support of them if we have time to discuss it at a future meeting.
Sounds like there's room on the 26th.
I mean, I just don't know when the meeting is, but if the CONSCOM meeting is after that, would you want a agenda item to discuss perhaps writing a letter of support
Sure.
Support for what?
for allowing the fireworks to continue?
I think what they're fighting over is making sure that there's sufficient debris removal. I think there've been problems. So that's what they're sort of negotiating or trying to work out, right?
Yeah, any debris control at all, I think that Concom would find, refreshing.
Well, I just don't want to sit here and find out that they've been not approved, so to whatever extent we as a town can help that happen, those are the only fireworks we have all year long.
No, I
I think
understand.
it would be a very bad move for our town to not continue that.
Yeah,
So
but-
if we just sit here and we don't do anything, chances are they could not get the funding. They could not get approval. And maybe they won't get approval anyway, but I think it's enough of an event that we should have our say, or write a
So
letter of
you're
support.
suggesting we pressure or
Nope,
put something in front of the because the
No.
Concom, I think, doesn't have an issue with it, provided the debris is taken care of.
Right, they're not taking,
against the
yeah,
fireworks.
they're not
They-
against the fireworks, they're just worried about the beach, because they've had, last year there was no
Last
cleanup
year it was a mess.
whatsoever.
No cleanup.
There was no cleanup.
Whose job is the cleanup?
It's the
DPW.
committee.
So I think what they're looking for is they're looking for a better, more definitive game plan on what to do.
And not
It was a
expect
mess.
town staff to clean up after
Yeah,
them.
Exactly. It sort of was left to the town. It was a mess.
Seems like a discussion then.
But that seems like a
That's
thing
what I was
grown-ups
told.
could do.
What?
That seems like a thing grown-ups could do, clean up after themselves and their party.
Well, it needs to be a charge for somebody. Is that a discussion item then?
Well, I would like to discuss it from our perspective
I'm happy
as
to
a
put it on
town.
the agenda as a discussion item, if someone can update us on what it is.
Want to see if Jan is available to meet
Yeah,
with us on the
maybe she will.
I
26th?
don't know if it could be too late by then, but I'm just saying, if we get to the, what is it that we can help? How can we help? Make sure that it happens, is my point. That's what I want to know. I just,
Well,
do they need,
I don't have an
do they
answer.
need bodies? Do they need volunteers? Do we?
They need volunteers, and because if there's no volunteers, then, we'd have to send the DPW out to do it. And if that's what the board wants to do, then, that's perfectly fine to discuss.
I just think,
I just don't want to sit here and then find out we're having no fireworks because the town couldn't cooperate with getting it to happen, because I can already tell you how the feedback on that's going to be, so.
Okay.
well, if we're gonna have, I don't want to get into a fight between the Seaside Fest folks and the Conservation Commission, so if we're gonna bring this topic up, we should invite the Conservation Commission to come in as well and explain what the problem is. So if we're gonna dive into this thing,
Brilliant, and then they kind of work it out themselves.
hopefully they'll have figured it out and
So is that on the 26th?
can write a letter and endorse their
When the
cleanup
meeting
plan.
is. If the meeting is before that, it's a moot point, so we'll see what happens.
All right,
But
so it's potentially on for the 26th.
Well, even if they do have a meeting and if it's not resolved, I think there's a little time between now and, I think the Concom, has already seen their plan, which doesn't include debris pickup. And has asked them to include debris pickup. And if that issue is unresolved, maybe by the 26th, we can help resolve it. At least you'll know.
Yeah, and if they know it's coming up on our agenda that we're gonna talk about it, who knows, that might accelerate their parties working it out.
I just don't want to be caught off guard after the fact, where there's nothing that
Good
we can
thinking.
do to
You're
help.
right. Be proactive. Mm-hmm. I am with you.
Okay, individual items.
I want to, you ready for one?
Go ahead,
I,
James.
I want to give my heartfelt concern to Jim Saban and my thanks for all of his hard work for the many years. But according to his letter, he broke his back. So, Jim, get well soon. My gosh, that's my individual item. I do have something else, but I'll share the floor to somebody else.
I just, and this is fairly frivolous sounding after what Liz has just said, I wanted to wish everyone a happy World Elephant Day.
A what?
Happy World Elephant Day.
Oh, thank you,
You're welcome.
thank you.
I was waiting for somebody
I'm the
to.
first to wish you, but, I realize I might not have
I
been.
can't believe it's taken till 9:25 p.m. The day's almost over, and I'm grateful for you.
There you go.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Well, I'll go back. Mark, did you have an item?
No, I'm glad you mentioned Jim, because Jim Saban is,
Part and parcel.
yeah, no, I feel bad as well.
It's
And
awful.
I think we're all hoping and wishing that he gets better soon and can get back on his feet.
I hope I hope
Yeah,
it's.
I think we're all on board with that
I have
sentiment.
a concern that's been brought to me that's, but I don't know how. There is a piece of property that is in Yarmouth, right next to my property, not adjacent. There's something in between, an access road. The young man who owns the property has clear cut all of his trees, and it's a giant mass of trees and leaves, and he's left them lying there. And the neighbors are starting to get concerned about fire, which is legitimate because it is that time of year. And I did reach out to our fire chief. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. He did, in his email response, say he hasn't had much success with being able to dictate to people about clean up your lot. And so I just bring it, does anybody,
Is that a future agenda item? Is that what you're suggesting?
perhaps, because this is a real issue. If anybody takes a drive over there, corner of Mayfair and Setauket, you cannot walk his property now. It is so covered with crisscrossed trees, limbs, branches, giant trunks, and he doesn't seem to be inclined to clean it up.
This is a resident complaint?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Two residents have complained.
and they don't feel that they're getting sufficient action from the town?
Well,
Is that it?
Correct, and I haven't heard back. I should give him another poke.
Well, my tendency on these things, just I would recommend is I always try to get complaints in writing, and then
I
go.
did send a complaint to the
Written?
chief.
Did you go to Bob? You should be going to
I
Bob.
copied Bob. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
I can now go to Mark Grills.
No, you can't, don't go to anybody but Bob. Bob has to handle it. I don't think it's
Bob.
appropriate for people to, us to be
I'll
going-
send along to the building commissioner and the fire chief that they can look at it.
Yeah,
You know, it might not be illegal.
Right.
that's what Chief Rescue is basically saying. And so that's why I bring it up, and Mark, maybe you're right, maybe there does need to be something on the books for a situation like this.
Yeah, I
with
find
the-
it sometimes it's helpful to get the complaint investigated, looked at, let Bob and the department heads look into it, figure it out, and then the next step is if we learn from their review that there's nothing that can be done about it, then it's certainly, the chief may have some strong feelings about something, and so
And then we
by then
create
it'll
a
be
way.
ripe enough that it could come back to us where we can have an intelligent conversation about
Sounds good.
next steps or actions.
Now that there's been so much dry weather, maybe we should just try to find him somebody who'd be interested in buying the wood before it rains.
There you go.
I don't think we should be getting involved in personal
Yeah.
property items like that. It's his property, and if he's not doing anything wrong, I mean, we can
I
look at
think
the
that's
rules
the-
and see if they need to be addressed, but I don't think we should.
Thank you, I think that's well said.
All right, any other individual items? Nope.
Nope.
Bob?
Okay, I'll try to go quick. We've actually talked about
should
a lot of my items.
I didn't do the consent agenda.
You want to do that first?
Does anybody want to
Where
make
is
a
it?
motion on the consent
there it is.
agenda?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Bob, sorry.
We wanted to talk about the community development interviews. We're all set for that. That's going to be next week. We talked about having the goal discussion on the 26th, and I want to thank board members for the great feedback. I sent out my draft. Now, when we do on the 26th, I just, want to let you know, some of the feedback that I'm getting are, for items that I had in my notes that were not included into the overall goals, but were in other people's notes that they were included. So I think that there may have to be a couple of, calls by the board, or what, is this item a future agenda item, or was this incorporated into the goal? And we'll have,
We can have that discussion when we go over it.
when we go over it. Yeah. And so that's good, but I really appreciate the feedback, and I think it'll be great to get those goals put together, finalized, and then we can begin to work with the departments, boards, and committees. And I was also glad to see on the local comprehensive plan that they paid a lot of attention to the priority goals of the select board. They had the 24 edition, but those were all reflected in there, and I felt really good about that. The goals have been received, I think, exceedingly well by all of the town and the departments. And I also wanted to bring you up to date on the plastics. And we talked about this. There is a detailed set of recommendations. Now, before it comes before this board, we want to get some feedback from the Board of Health. It's been a Board of Health on the committee studying it, but the Board of Health, and I had this discussion with the chairman, and the chairman is very strong, and favors the town having leadership on addressing this plastic thing. And I think working with the regulations, it provides a much more practical way of eliminating plastic from all of the food service industry. And so I'm dying to see if the Board of Health is behind these regulations and supports them, then I think it'll be perfect timing to come in front of the Select Board, review them, review how it's going to be implemented, and then move from there. But I got to say, I was very impressed by your task force, what the work that's been done. I've been to most of the meetings, and it's a very high level of discussion, very detailed. They had folks from representing the industry, other communities, the Falmouth experience. They've done a tremendous amount of work, and they've met almost every week throughout the entire summer. So I think that that's going ahead very, very well. And just the last item, we talked about maybe a little bit, but I really want to give some recognition to Joyce Flynn. I attended the meeting for all of the chairmen of the committees today, and that was a superb forum, and it was very well timed. It was very well attended. Breakfast spread was great as well, but Mary did a great job, and we want to get this information also to members of the Board of Selectmen, the packet, that there's a checklist that she got from the Attorney General's office. It's really fairly new. It was just done in 2024. I hadn't seen it before, but it covers every sort of area where a committee can be involved, how to take minutes, how to handle executive sessions, how to handle votes, how to handle posting, how to handle all of the issues about the remote and the hybrid. And great piece of work. Everyone really appreciated it very much, and it was a very lively question and answer period too. So, and part of it, it's great outreach from the leadership of the town to the boards and committees, showing the respect and caring for them and appreciation for their service. All of that was sort of woven in. So thank you, Joyce. It was great. And I guess that's all I have for.
I think you have one more, don't you? The monument?
Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to bring that one up. I had on the monument, responding to the correspondence from Mr. Chris George, and he had met before the board and then subsequently sent a correspondence, and so I wanted to respond to him. And I just want to say that I got back the responses that 4 of the 5 members of the Select Board felt that we should, respond, that the board, at this point, because it was voted at town meeting and discussed publicly so many times, that the board was not keen on reconsidering their vote at this time. But I did get one member who would like to further discuss it, and so that I didn't want to run ahead with the response until we had a chance to acknowledge that fact as to how the responses go, because I didn't want people thinking that if they responded that it would automatically be done, because it was kind of a situation where 4 people wanted to do one thing and 1 person wanted to do another. So I thought we should discuss it and before I sent a response. So if the response is, with the 4 members, that it's something that you guys, acknowledge and discuss, and I didn't want to throw out the other suggestion.
Very considerate, and it's mostly consideration of me, because I was yammering about consideration. So, and I was the person who said, maybe we should give him one more opportunity. And since the rest of you said no, I'm fine with that. So, but the fact that, I appreciate the fact that Bob's trying to give it an opportunity, rather than it just kind of being decided without a quick discussion. Thank you, Bob.
Well, he was here before us, and nobody seemed to say anything.
Absolutely on board with that opinion.
And
it's unfortunate.
It's hard to make these decisions, and it's all very complicated. But I just want to say I appreciated the ability. We're all kind of working on just knowing what we're doing and why we're doing it, and taking everyone's opinions into account.
Absolutely.
Well, my general approach is that if there's something that's been decided by town meeting, I'm not up to second guessing or derailing a decision by town meeting. If there's someone that would like to have town meeting revisit their question, that every citizen has the right to do that. And I may not recommend or endorse their article petitioning, but nonetheless, there is a process. And I think that's something that I think Bob was going to make it known. I think this is part of what we have to do on an ongoing basis, is make people aware that even though we may not take that item up, there is a process. This is the avenue to pursue if you decide to sort of move forward, you know, on your concerns. And I think sometimes that's, I think what we're learning from the Tolley situation and some other situations is the importance of constantly educating people of how our process of democracy, our governance, self-governance works. That yes, we have a role to play, but this is a very democratic system. People have avenues to go directly to town meeting or to petition through us to go to town meeting. And I think that's one of the reasons why town meeting has sustained itself for so long.
Great.
All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair?
Second?
Aye. 9:35.
We are late.
I thought we were going to be later
Recording
than that,
stopped.
though.